Coming to you live from the JRE Tobacco Aladino Mobile Studios, it's the Cigar Pulpit.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm the Bishop of the Burn, Nick, and we've got a Trey Mac episode for you today. So buckle up. You're with me for a while. No, we got a Trey Mac episode. We're going to talk about, we're going to get his perspective on the Aladino farm trips this year, and we're going to talk a little bit about what folks can expect from Aladino in 2025 and at the PCA Trade Show coming up in April. So why don't we just go ahead and jump right into the interview with Trey Mac. And we are joined by Aladino sales guru. I was going to say director, but I don't think that's technically. I think I got in trouble the last time I said sales director from you. Sales guru, Trey Mac Shipley. How you doing?
Good. On the farm, who's to introduce me as the national guy?
The national guy. I love it. That's the title. The national guy.
National guy. And then that's what everybody called me the rest of the trip. Oh, the national guy.
The national guy. All right. Well, cool. Well, you just got back from Honduras.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out that I have a goodie here. I have an unbanded secret test blend Aladino. I know, right? So I don't know anything about this. I'd ask you what it is, but you don't even know. But I am prepared because our episodes tend to go lengthy. But that's okay. Give the people what they want. So I do have an Aladino limited edition. I almost said classic. Limited edition on deck.
That's a hell of a smoke right there.
Yes, and that's one people can maybe get if they're lucky and they find one in the wild.
The other one could be an Oliva with the band taken off.
It's not. It's not. I didn't go to Cigar Page. What are you talking about? But what?
Thank God. Stay away.
Thank God. So I'm gonna cut this thing and I'm gonna get a cigar going, and then we're gonna hear all about your trip because I always like the farm trips because there's always shenanigans that take place.
Something always happens.
Something always does. I mean, but Ken wasn't there this time, so it's not. So you don't have the Ken Claridge kind of flair to it all.
There was no jerky episodes.
No jerky episodes. Well, that's good. Well, it's time to cut the cigar, and the official cutting is brought to you by 2guyscigars.com. That's the number 2guyscigars.com. Two Guys have been around for 40 years, and they are the trusted name in the cigar industry. Everybody knows Two Guys, but if you don't, please give them a try. You won't be sorry. Family owned and operated, 2guyscigars.com does the very best to provide a great selection, fair prices, and excellent customer service. They're a big Aladino supporter. I mean, you can get practically damn near anything from Two Guys from Aladino. I mean, practically anything,
but not
this. So not everything, but a lot of things. You can get most of it. So please go to 2guyscigars.com for your next cigar purchase. Tell them that the Cigar Pulpit sent you. And remember, that's the number 2guyscigars.com. And with that, it's time to go ahead and cut the cigar. And I cleared the schmuckus from the chamber. I didn't nuke myself.
Nice. No
I know. No schmuckus. I had another cigar earlier today, and I obviously remember to clear the schmuckus, which is good. So,
speaking of Two Guys, Mr. Jonathan, if you're listening, I know you probably listen to all my episodes. I'm sure.
Oh, I bet. Well, but see, I do know that Dave and Ed listen to this show. So if you are putting out a message to Mr. Jonathan, I'm sure one of them would be happy to relay it if he doesn't, Wonderful.
I believe some people on the trip have Mr. Jonathan's phone number, and they may not have sent him a video of me having a good time. Mr. Jonathan,
whoa.
Do the right thing and delete this video.
Whoa. Having a good time.
Yeah.
I mean, because I know what the implications of sending something to Mr. Jonathan and you saying having a good time could be misread.
Oh no, I wasn't. I wasn't. I was fully clothed.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I just want to make that clear for the listeners.
Yeah. But I am the photographer on all the excursions.
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment at night where there was a party going on, and there'd be a really good viewpoint from a tree.
Mm.
Might have gotten up, to this tree, and might have also been having a good time while photographing and videoing people. Don't take that.
Okay. No.
But apparently somebody videotaped that and sent it to Mr. Jonathan directly.
Okay. Well,
So, pretty pumped about that.
excellent. Well, I'm going to fire this guy up. I can tell. I don't know for certain. I mean, it could be a very light, kind of thing. But based off of the cold draw and the color of the wrapper, I'm going to assume this is a Connecticut wrapper on this guy.
I was about to say, the only two test blends look like that. One was a Connecticut, the other's a Habano.
Okay.
I'm guessing you got the Connecticut.
I'm based upon the cold draw flavor and the appearance of this. I'm gonna assume this is a Connecticut. So, anyway, are you not smoking again? You're inside.
Well,
you're inside your apartment.
Yeah, until I have time to set up my patio.
I mean, weather's got to be getting nicer down there by now. I mean, it's getting nicer here. I only have one heater going instead of two.
How cold is it out there?
Actually, at this exact moment that we are recording, I do have the heater down by my feet, and it is turned on the lowest setting. It is currently 48 degrees outside.
Okay.
So, so it's
fair.
No, dude, we hit like 62 today. So I mean, I'm feeling pretty saucy. I had the garage door up. I was sitting out, it's like it was a good day.
Nice.
So yeah. Well, anyway, okay. Well, since you're not smoking, I guess I get to fire up by myself. But we're gonna listen to the greatest commercial that you've ever heard.
Some say cigars are all the same. It's just not true. It's you I have to blame. Well, I don't know, 'cause what I know, there is a cigar called Aladino. Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. They say authentic, so we're not confused, while the others say it's a word that's just abused. I guess that's so. They can't compete. At least I'm sure Aladino can't be beat. Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Corojo. Aladino Cigars use authentic Corojo tobacco from JRE Tobacco. This is the greatest commercial you ever heard. Yeah.
All right. Well, there you go. It's one of those things. You mention Mr. Jonathan, you say his name, and he appears.
That's fucking true, man.
Anyway, so when you weren't climbing trees, how was the trip?
So
you've been all over the place. Last time you were on, you were talking about your trip to Ireland. Now today, here we are talking about your trip to Honduras. So
Ireland, Honduras. Next week is North Carolina, South Carolina.
They're not separate countries.
No, but when you live in Florida, everything's a different.
Everything's a different country. Okay. Oh, look at you. When you live in Florida, because you've only been there for like a hot minute, but now you're a Floridian, right? So it's like I've been through a winter.
I still don't have my Florida ID yet.
Oh, okay.
So I'm on my trial period here.
Oh, well, they'll decide one way or the other if they want you. But realistically, they took Ken. They'll take you. So anyway.
I remember last time when we talked about we had Ken on and
we went through a lot of the kind of what happens on the trip and everything, but I
don't really remember what we talked about.
Something about him in a tractor at one point.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. We can kind of go through it, briefly in terms of like the itinerary, but it's more just the kind of like the special moments.
there's plenty of special moments. Also, I don't remember if we went into like the nuts and bolts of like the behind the scenes shit to pull all this off, because it's
well,
a
then,
it's a lot.
well, then talk about it.
Okay, well,
Go for it. Go for it. Go for it.
So for starters, this is the longest we've ever been out there for these types of events, to bring people from the States and other parts of the world out there. Usually it's like a 1 week thing.
Oh, okay.
This year it was more like a 3 week thing.
Oh, so you had multiple groups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Multiple groups, multiple countries, and it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Like a lot. And lots of people got sick. Some of us were sick before we got there and never recovered.
Mm.
So that added a weird element, but and then there were flights that got screwed up, and
Yeah.
send Mondito in.
Mondito.
Mondito, it's one of my favorite people.
Okay. You did send me a picture of Mondito.
I did, and Mondito is would you want Mondito picking you up at the airport if you didn't
He's
know?
an intimidating looking man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's really a hilarious guy that he drives like a bat out of hell.
Well, that's good. Shave a little time from that trip from the airport to the farm. You know?
Like the one guy he picked up, they're like, well, actually, it was from Ken's store. He picked up Justin. Because Justin's flight got delayed, so he missed his flight to Honduras. So we had to get him another flight to a different city in Honduras.
That's right. And seeing Justin, he won that trip at Pulpit Fest.
He did win it at Pulpit Fest.
Yes.
So reason to go to Pulpit Fest.
Another reason. Got to go to Pulpit Fest.
You should have Justin on.
I might. I'll circle up with Justin. Should.
To get like my perspective of the trip and
Justin's.
totally different.
Okay.
But yeah, so Justin, we had a lot of like flight issues. Me coming back home is a nightmare, but which is funny because like I live the closest to Honduras than everybody else, and I was like the last person to get home. So I was second to last, actually.
Well, I mean, it seems like as much of a nightmare as it could be, given the current events of plane crashes, it could have been worse.
Well, funny you mentioned that.
Oh, God.
When we were flying over there,
yeah,
the guy on the plane says, hey, you realize we're like the first people to fly over the Gulf of America. I'm like, and I go, that's totally badass. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Then he goes, we could be the first people to crash in the Gulf of America.
Why would you say something like that?
I don't know, but that would be kind of baller too.
I mean, it'd be something, but why put that on yourself?
I'm dark. I like it. We're friends now. But yeah, we flew over the Gulf of America. It's pretty baller.
There you go.
And it was even like on the flight tracker, you can see you're going over the Gulf of America.
Dude, I mean, Google has embraced it. At this point, it's a thing.
So awesome.
I did see a meme where it said it was the Gulf of Cigars.
It kind of is.
I mean, when you look at the countries all surrounding it, I mean, I'm kind of okay, and Florida, I'm kind of okay with that idea.
It's not bad.
No.
Probably the Gulf of other things as well. So,
well, okay. So you had some issues.
So yeah, there was a lot of flight issues this year. So I think going forward, I think the first mistake, we're not going to have this many trips. It was too much. Everybody got wore down because I mean,
that is an awful lot of hosting for everybody at the farm. Because I mean, I would imagine that life is kind of upended when you have these groups come in. Suddenly you're hosting, all these people, and you're preparing these elegant meals, and you're taking staff and using them in different ways that they normally aren't. And so you're upending everything for that week or so,
Good point. You're at Julio's house.
Yeah.
which is so he's giving up basically his house for a month for a lot of like random strangers.
That's a lot to ask of a guy.
Yeah, and technically I'm not a random stranger, but along these lines, I did probably the biggest faux pas on the trip. Yeah, it's usually me, like one way or another, usually me. Once again, it was me.
What'd you do?
Scared the shit out of Julio.
What'd you? Oh my gosh!
Yeah, not good.
No. What'd you do?
So we're done in the factory, and Justo had forgotten his radio. So he's like, Trey Mac, like, take the truck, go up to the house. And it's a little drive.
Uh-huh.
Go back up to the house and get my radio. I left it on the nightstand by the bed.
I assume we're talking like a walkie-talkie type
Yeah.
radio. Okay, so we're not talking like a little
No.
like he wants to listen to his tunes. We're
No,
listening.
no.
Yeah. Okay.
Walkie-talkie, it's all for the farm shit.
Okay.
And he's like, so go up in my bedroom. Now, I've only stayed in the big house once.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed at the big house. I know which bedroom Justo stayed in.
Oh God.
So I'm like, no problem. I got this. So I go into what I've known as Justo's bedroom.
But it wasn't Justo's bedroom.
I'm in there rummaging around, and I'm looking at the nightstand. I'm on both nightstands. Can't find this stupid radio. This bedroom has an open door that conjoins to another room that I didn't even know existed.
Oh God.
And as I'm rummaging around through everything, I hear, hey. I turn and I look, and there's Julio in bed in the other bedroom, conjoined. So Julio probably thinks he's being robbed.
Oh God.
At which point I'm like, uh-oh, what do I do now? I have to go into Julio's room and try to explain myself. So then I
Do you have to?
Well, I felt like I had to.
I kind of would have thought my initial thought would have been get the fuck out of the room.
Well, maybe I'm Riri. I don't know.
I'm just saying that would have been my initial thought is
it was not
leave
mine.
the room.
So I walked over towards Julio and I said, Justo forgot his walkie-talkie. I need a walkie-talkie. And he had one in bed. So he just grabbed it from the bed and threw it at me and said, bring it back. So I'm like, okay, got the walkie-talkie. I drive back down to the factory and I give the walkie-talkie to Justo. And he's like, oh, thanks. And I go, just heads up. Think I scared the shit out of your dad. And Justo's like, how? How would that have happened? And I'm like, well, I couldn't find the walkie-talkie on your nightstand. And next thing I know, the conjoining room, there's a noise and it's Julio and he was scared. And Justo was like, that's not my bedroom. And I'm like, well, didn't know that.
Justo's is the one that has the like Cindy Crawford poster from like 1985 on the wall and the race car bed. That's just my impression of Justo's room. Is like it's like his childhood room, and it's just always the same. Like it's got like his Rubik's Cube on the dresser, and just like his Nintendo, and just he's set up and ready.
Yeah. So Justo's like, you did not do this.
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
like,
you did.
I did. So Justo's like, oh, this is a disaster. And I'm like, is it that big of a disaster? Like, I think we're okay. Like, and then the phone starts ringing. And it's Julio calling Justo over and over.
Like, why the fuck did Trey Mac come in my room?
And Justo's like, I'm not answering this. And I'm like,
what?
Apparently I was either a thief or a rapist.
Oh my God.
Little pervert, I think might have been said.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I was just trying to get a walkie-talkie, bro. That's all I was trying to do. And
it's not like Julio doesn't know who you are.
Well, you got to remember, there's probably like 20 people there at the same time.
Yeah.
And I mean, fuck, my dad and Julio are the same age. Like, and I'm his son. But if I was at my dad's place with 20 other people,
yeah,
he may not even recognize me because he's seeing so many different faces all the time.
Valid.
So,
oh God.
Yeah, that happened and wasn't very pretty. No.
Okay. Okay.
Um,
Well,
faux pas. Me,
faux pas. But was that the most embarrassing thing that took place on this trip?
It was pretty bad. It's pretty bad.
I mean, it's not like you stranded everybody on the side of the road with a flat tire or anything like that. I mean, I'm just saying it could be worse.
Who still makes fun of me for my driving, which is not true. Every time we're on the farm, if a vehicle screws up, I'm not the one driving. It's so yeah, we were at one point, we were coming back from the farm. We'd go safari style with 2 pickups and trucks full of gringos in the back.
Mm-hmm.
And that morning before we left on that trip, so I came up and I sent Justo a message at like 6 a.m. I go, hey, heads up, a tire's totally flat on your truck. So call the guys and get a new tire on that thing. So we come back out, new tire.
Okay.
New tire.
Mm-hmm.
There's a tire that's not flat. And on the drive back, everything was good. And
oh, fuck.
You tried retrohale that.
Nope. My throat just decided to swallow. Yeah. That was unpleasant.
Jesus.
I was holding the smoke for a minute, thinking I would retrohale, and all of a sudden, I just started swallowing. It's like, no. So yeah, a little bit of a burn on the swallow. So
I'm not going there.
Oh God, that's gonna be a clip now.
Yeah. So we're driving back, and Justo hits a rock, and the tire just explodes.
Barbecuey smokiness to the swallow.
Oh,
it's like kind of lingering. It's a barbecuey smokiness to the swallow.
It's I'm gonna let that one be.
A little bit of black cherry soda to wash that down with, though.
Oh, nice.
Dude, I'll tell you what, Fitz's out of St. Louis. They make some damn fine sodas. Good. And the black cherry, I dig this. This is good. And it's pairing very nicely with whatever this is. So anyway, all right. So you come out and the new tire is flat.
It explodes. No, it explodes.
Oh, it explodes. So you're driving along and it just.
Yeah,
well, not you. Justo's driving along.
Yeah, I'm behind Justo. And here's the thing: like, I was trying to videotape the safari style drive that we were on.
You have it on tape,
dude. I have the singular moment when it happened. It's like a 3-second clip, and all you see is like it just blew, and then my phone, because then I'm worried about the truck.
Yeah,
so put the phone down. So like, it could have been so much better, but it was right there. So it blows, and we've got like 15 people out there. So
I'm gonna need a picture of Justo by the side of the blown out truck so that I can use that for the cover art of this episode. By the way,
I might be able to. I know a guy maybe that.
All right, yeah.
So Justo's like,
I'm sure Justo's gonna love that, but yeah, whatever.
So Justo's like, Trey, like be a man, do something about this. And I'm like, let me call AAA real quick, sir. So pull out my phone. Everybody's laughing. And mind you, like, Justo's daughters and his wife, they're all there too. So, like, I'm supposed to be manly, and I say, call AAA.
Yeah.
That wasn't funny, apparently. I thought it was.
I think it is, but yeah.
So then Justo does get on the radio, and he does say some things in Spanish. And, bro, I'm telling you, in like 30 seconds, this pickup shows up with 3 dudes in it.
So he called AAA.
And Justo's like, oh, see, this is way better than AAA. And I look at Justo and I go, Alejandro, and Alejandro. I'm pretty sure it's the same thing. Like, and so then we all had to pile into one truck. So you got like 15 people in one truck and drive all the way back to the cops.
That doesn't sound safe.
No, and I got a video of that too.
I feel like the axles on the truck might have been straining slightly.
These are 1997 Chevys.
Okay, so
those were the last trucks that were made to last.
But they're not built Ford tough.
Oh boy. Speaking of, there's
Oh
another-
boy. Oh boy.
Sandra, the woman that kind of like runs everything out there.
Yeah.
She got a brand new pickup and she was driving it around all happy and shit.
Yeah.
That truck so bad. It's, it doesn't seem like anything crazy if I say it here in America. It's a Ford Ranger.
Okay.
Ford Ranger you can't get in the US.
Oh.
They got it from Brazil. That
Yeah.
thing is so badass.
Really?
It's beefy, it's four-wheel drive, it's diesel. It's that truck is sick.
Huh.
And it's twin turbo diesel Ford Ranger.
Who knew?
I want one so bad.
I'll be damned. All right then.
Ford.
So are the cars, are they like, is the steering wheel on the left or the right in
It's
Honduras?
normal for us. It's left.
Okay, so it's on the left, like in the States. Okay. I don't know. I'm curious. I've been watching a lot of Top Gear, and so it's kind of like funny, like where in the world is the wheel on the right or the left? So,
But like they have so many vehicles that we don't get.
yeah.
Most of them are like really cool trucks, like the Toyota, the Hilux. There's Hilux everywhere.
Mhm.
Sick. There's
That's a good truck. I do know about that one. That's a good truck.
There's a Mitsubishi truck out down there that's bad to the bone, and I could never believe that is a true thing.
Yeah.
No, they have a sick Mitsubishi truck down there.
I'll be damned.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have these boring ass trucks that they want to charge us 70 grand for here.
Nick Perdomo's got a Cybertruck in Nicaragua. Or maybe not Nicaragua. He's got a Cybertruck. I know that, but I don't know if it's.
I don't think that'd probably get you very far in Nicaragua.
Maybe. You never know. I don't know.
I've had this thing sitting on one charge for 5 years.
5 years.
There's nowhere else to charge it, sir.
So aside from you breaking and entering into Julio's room and the truck, nearly killing half of the visitors when Justo, blew the tire, what else took place?
So let's start at the beginning.
I'm getting a little dramatic with the thing, by the way.
Let's start at the beginning. We'll go through some of the
Okay. Yeah.
Some of the behind the scenes shit.
Highlights, lowlights, everything in between.
Yeah. So
okay.
I think from now on we will have everybody fly in the day before they fly to Honduras, just so we're a little bit more sure everyone will make the flight.
Meaning fly to Miami?
Like either Miami or Houston, wherever you're coming from.
Get to that place the day before, chill there that night, and then get on the. Okay. None of the connecting kind of things.
Yeah, there were too many issues. We haven't really had issues in the past.
Yeah.
Sure, there were multiple issues. Thank you, American, for delaying literally every flight known to me. And causing chaos. But that's the first thing, you put these groups together and, the office has to kind of coordinate all that.
Yeah.
That's a lot when, you're not just flying to Honduras, man. You're flying to Comayagua, and then you got a 5-hour bus ride from there.
Yeah.
So all these things have to be coordinated. It's not simple.
And if somebody flies in at like 8 a.m, but the last person's flying in at 5 p.m. or 5 p.m, that person flew in at 8 a.m. They're sitting there waiting for like 9 hours for that last person to arrive.
Yeah. So
that sucks.
Coordination is pretty important. And we had it all down. I mean, all the flights were getting in within 30 minutes of each other.
Okay.
But even scheduling that, it's not easy. It's not. And for whatever reason, these last 2 years, the prices have been really ridiculous. This is America. The price of everything is freaking ridiculous.
It's stupid.
The night in Miami, 2 slices of pizza was $40. And then I get to Honduras and you can have a gigantic baleada and a Coke for $4. And you're like, how is it this much of a difference?
I don't know, but I would be down for a $4 dinner.
Yeah. Oh, great one.
Yeah. By the way, speaking of great, I'm through the first third of this thing. It's got a little bit of spice to the smoking experience, a little bit of it to the retrohale, a lot on the swallow. But by and large, it's a fairly smooth and mellow kind of smoke, and the burn line on it's been pretty good, nice and tight. The ash, it's a smidge on the flaky side, but it holds together fairly well. So I'm digging it. It's good, whatever this is.
Well, Justo's working on several different Connecticut blends.
Okay. Well, this one's good. I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Well,
okay.
we will be doing something with that blend for sure.
Okay.
Not exactly sure what.
Well, when it happens, I like it.
Say
So,
on this whole trip, like of all the new stuff that we're trying for the future,
yeah.
Again, you like to paint this picture that, oh, here's our new best thing. And
Yeah.
we're just so good at what we do. That's not true. Like when you talk to these people, like a lot of times before you get to a blend that you like, you might have done it 30 times.
Yeah.
You might have tweaked it 30 times before you're like, oh, this is balanced. This is where we're going. And even then, when you're working with the tobaccos, like this came up multiple times. I had to explain this to people on this trip because we were doing multiple different projects.
Yeah.
And people kind of think it's like a bar. You can smoke a cigar and be like, oh, well, I like this, but I want it to be just a little bit more creamy. Can you add something in it to make it a little more creamy? And you're like,
Yeah.
I know that's how people in this industry think that works. It's not how it works.
Yeah.
It's more like you have the tobacco. There's certain different things you do to get different things to come out of the tobacco, whether that's the soil you grow it in, whether that's the sunlight you allow it to have or not allow it to have, whether that's how long you do the curing process. There's a million varieties to get certain flavor profiles, but you don't know those flavor profiles till you start smoking the fumas and then trying to like be a mad scientist to put them together. At the end of the day, you can come up with a great flavor, but those tobaccos don't burn at the same rate.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, that's not going to work either. So now let's figure out how to like add some other things to get the burn rate right. But then the flavor changes.
Nothing sucks more than when you have a cigar and it's not burning right. And that's how you get like the spear and the other kind of crap where like, no, I know.
Well, a lot of the times you're just listening to the tobacco. I know us Americans think that we can just tell it what to do. Horse shit. You have to listen to the tobacco and figure out, okay, well, these work together. It's a happy little marriage. And then you smoke it. And even then, like, okay, well, it works, but does it work well enough?
Yeah.
And you just try and try and try again. And like, perfect example, when you come to our farm, you sit down and we'll have several blends. Like, hey, we want you guys to try these. And we want your honest opinion. Just because Justo and Julio's here, don't mean you kiss ass, because that's not going to help us. Like, we want to know your honest opinion. And we had one tasting where we had 2 cigars. Everybody was smoking them. And I got, maybe 10 puffs in. And I was like, yeah, I don't want to be the first person to talk here. I'm going to set this one out for a minute. And nobody knew what to say. Nobody said anything. And then one guy, thank God we had him out there, very opinionated human being that I love to death.
Okay.
From Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He just goes, I think these fucking suck. Just said it out loud.
I mean, that's blunt, but I guess it's right to the point.
What you need to hear.
Yeah, but it's right to the point.
And then it's like, okay, thank you. Now tell me why they suck and what they're missing, because we've got a million tobaccos. We can try to figure this out, especially for, American palate is very different than like the French palate, or the French palate's different than the English palate. Like, it's a process.
Yeah.
And so like those 2 cigars, they weren't bad, but they weren't Aladino good.
Okay.
It's like, if you wanted to put another label, I could mention a few brands, which I won't.
Yeah.
They would have been fine. And people would have bought them and paid $7.50 or $8 for them. But it's not us. So they say no. And then we had 3 more blends after that. And those 3 blends were freaking home runs.
Well, see, there you go.
So pumped about those.
Okay.
We can get into that if you want to, but
Well, I mean, we talk
Like-
about whatever you want to talk about.
I like to tease. I just can't say too much about them.
I get it.
Those 3 cigars, everybody raved about in every single group across the board. There's 3 different wrappers.
Did the other groups dislike the ones that this guy disliked? Out of
Uh,
curiosity?
After it was a resounding no from one group, we decided that's probably enough information. That's probably good.
Okay.
So we didn't even give anybody else the.
Well, I'm just kind of curious, given, like you were saying, the different flavor palette or profiles of different like regions and countries and things like that. Like, but for all I know, everybody on the other 2 groups were, United States and whatever, and maybe you wouldn't have that.
I'll give you a good example. We had some guys there from Hong Kong,
Okay.
and they also wanted to blend something for Hong Kong. Well, we were doing a tasting for a different project for somebody else, and they wanted 2 blends, and we had honed it down to 3, and they decided this 3rd one not going to cut it. It's not what we're going for. It's a good cigar, but not what we're going for. Funny enough, Hong Kong smoked that cigar and went fucking bananas. And they're
There
like,
you
"That's
go.
what we want." And I'm like, okay, like, wonderful. That worked
Done.
out perfectly, actually.
There you go.
So, yeah, I mean, it's different. It's so strange. You never know. But those 2 that got kind of discarded super fast, like
Mhm.
you put that under another label from another company, and I could tell you the company they would fit in perfectly with. I won't. But when I smoked it, I was like, this reminds me so much of X.
Okay.
And they would probably do just fine with that company. But
Okay.
you would not think it was an Aladino if you smoked it.
Okay.
So, which is fine. Again, the cigar burned great. It wasn't what we were looking for.
Mm.
And even when we were blending Fuminoche, right? We had like 10 blends. We had it down to.
Yeah.
There were 3 blends that I thought were spectacular. But 2 of those 3 blends, my opinion was, don't throw these away. These are phenomenal, but they don't fit the marketing that we did for Fuminoche. It's not.
Yeah.
These are good cigars, but these are not Fuminoche cigars. And so you have situations like that too, where like you're trying to hit the mark on something, and you might have some good blends, but they're not that. You would have to name it something else. You have to market it a different way, which is fun too.
Yeah.
That's all part of the.
But it adds extra time, and it also is not what you're going for at that moment. So you still got to pivot to something that you're going for, and you can stick this one on the side table and pick it up later.
Correct.
Unless it's in Julio's room, in which case then you get accused of being a rapist or a thief.
Yeah, pervert.
Gotcha. Okay.
Anyway,
Anyway,
so I'm a pervert. I'm some weirdo in a tree on a video. I'm all sorts of things down there.
I mean, none of which actually doesn't, like, it's all on brand for you to some degree.
A little bit.
That's the thing. Like, none of this is off brand for you.
Oh, it's not.
Okay.
I wear it with pride.
I mean, you should embrace it, run with it.
I'm one of those people. I don't have time to be ashamed or embarrassed. I got a job to do. I got to go do it. And if some weird shit happens along the way, it usually does.
It adds to the story. So,
yeah. So,
well, yeah. I mean, you had an iguana that you were feuding with for 2 days or some shit.
That fucking thing. So this iguana.
It's like if you don't have problems with birds, apparently it's iguanas.
So we used to have tons of iguanas on the farm.
Mm-hmm.
Like lots.
Well, you've talked to me before about Julio and his menagerie of animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over the past 5 years, I'd not seen one iguana.
Okay.
Plenty of other lizards, but no iguanas. This trip, they're making a comeback here, buddy. There were some iguanas here and there, but there was one in particular that he'd made a home by the pool.
Okay.
And at one point in time, we had like 5 people in the pool, and the iguana decided that was a good time to swim.
Oh, God.
And everybody freaked out because this random iguanas, and he was not giant, but he wasn't a little iguana either. He's pretty as iguana. So then I made my mission.
Was he aggressive with people, or was he just
no? He just wanted to swim, and
he just wanted to hang out too. Yeah,
cool off.
Yeah, I get it.
But then the rest of the trip, like my mission, like I got to get an up close picture of this iguana, and I got to decent lens on my camera. I figured I can make this happen.
Yeah.
And everybody be like, oh, Trey, the iguana's out. And the other people could walk around and he didn't care. As soon as I came around with my camera,
Bam, running.
he didn't like me. And he would like look at me and start bobbing his head and then take off. And I'm like, how does it know? I got like 3 semi-decent pictures of him, but they weren't close.
Yeah.
I think I sent them to you or sent one to you.
You sent one. Yeah. Okay.
There for like 2 weeks, and I couldn't get a picture of this damn thing, even though I saw him a million times.
That's funny. Okay, so everybody got to town. You coordinated the flights.
And you got the drive.
Then you got the drive.
Which we tried not to tell people too much about the drive.
Yeah.
Because it's definitely the worst part of the trip. But it's also part of the charm. You get to see what it's like to drive in Honduras and into the mountains of Honduras, which is a cultural experience all its own.
Okay.
I also explained to people that Hondurans are not very big people.
So
in
everything's
fact,
a little small.
I feel really good when I hang out in the capital city.
Yeah.
Like I'm like, oh, this is how people in the U.S. feel when they're around me. They're pretty tall around here. I've got a picture of people making my baleada, and like they're barely in the picture at the base of my camera.
Yeah.
Oh, that's probably how other people see me. That's awesome. So then the girls saw how big my meal was, and they were laughing and making fun of me. And I'm like, yeah, Gordo Americano.
Yeah, I'm gonna eat it.
So, where the hell was I going? So anyway,
the drive. Yeah.
There's 12 people. So 1 Honduran seat on the bus is the equivalent to 1 American seat.
Okay.
They're tiny.
Okay.
And you're going to be on it for like 5 hours.
So your ass is hurt.
Well, everything's just kind of crammed. And like, I'm not the tallest guy in the world, and I'm all like crammed up. And I'm like,
which sounds so fun after you've just done a flight from Houston or Miami to Honduras, and you're already flying like this in a tube. Yeah. No, that sounds awesome.
Yeah. So it's, again, part of the charm. It's part of the trip you'll never forget. And then you finally reach Camp Aladino, and you usually reach it at nighttime. So you can't see anything. You don't know what it looks like.
Yeah.
And we're free trade zone. So along with that comes some pretty serious security and gigantic double gates to get in. People are like, whoa, what the hell? And I'm like, it's, don't freak out. But once you're in the compound, you don't leave the compound. So, it's different. And then it's in the middle of the night. But then you wake up the next day and you're like, oh my God, it's absolutely gorgeous. Like, you're in paradise. And that's how it starts. So the first night is usually just get together, have some drinks, have some food, try to like stretch out from being cramped for an entire day.
Yeah.
Nothing, just get to know your new friends. And then get to bed and know that by 7 a.m. we're going to be drinking coffee and getting ready to go and have our nice Honduran breakfast and eating at Julio's main table in his house. And it's just a wonderful experience with the pool and the sunrise and sunsets, everything. Like, it's just breathtaking. And it definitely is like, it just definitely just captures your spirit. It's awesome.
Yeah. Now, based off the itinerary that you sent me, I mean, when you guys get going. I mean, it's a action-packed, busy day, from start to finish here. Scrolling back through the multitude of photos that you sent to find the itinerary here. There's your giant lunch and the power lines and the Tinder women.
Oh yeah, thing, which got me into trouble.
Uh-oh. Well, yeah, you're not allowed to leave the compound.
Well, that doesn't mean I don't want to fish.
What are you gonna do? Tell him, hey, come up to the gate and tell him Trey Mac sent you.
Okay.
Oh fuck, you did.
Well, I've got a funny one. So there's one girl, she's an attorney in Tegus. I've been going to Honduras for 6 years now, technically.
Yeah.
6 years.
Yeah.
I, no joke, have matched with the same woman every single time I've been down there.
That's so funny.
And every time we have a little discussion, and then a couple months later, she gets mad at me, unmatches me, and then I go back and we rematch again, and it happened once again. And I was like, huh. And of course, her name is Karen. Yeah, Karen, we meet again
Meet again. Does she remembers you? I mean, so she knows what she's doing.
Yeah.
She's matching.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's so funny.
But you have to be careful on Honduran tender.
Yeah.
Because you have two types of Honduran women.
Okay.
One they're very voluptuous.
Yeah.
And the others are very tiny.
Okay.
Nothing in the middle.
Okay.
So like I matched with one girl and she says she's 27, but she certainly looks like 15.
Mm.
And so I'm like, Justo, come here. Like before I talk to this girl, you're from out here.
You're better at identifying this than I am. Yeah.
Like this girl definitely, she doesn't even look 16.
Yeah.
And Justo looks and he goes, because it says she was 27. And Justo goes, no, she's probably 27. She's just one of the tiny ones. I'm like, okay. So I start talking to her. And sure enough, she's an English teacher. And
okay.
Definitely 27 years old.
Oh my God. Look at you.
You don't know, but it's terrifying.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, but see, like, I would also wonder, like, and this has also been on my mind because I did a little looking into travel warnings to Nicaragua, which that's a whole nother discussion that you and I can have like later. But they're talking about
tonight. I don't give a shit.
They're talking about abducting Americans and shit like that. And I'm thinking, like, man, I wonder if some of these Tinder gals could be like luring you in for banditos to like take you and try to get a ransom.
So much. Okay, let's just address this. So I don't know why. Maybe it's because of the news cycle and shit and deportation talk and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as I remember, every year Honduras has been level 3 travel warning.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't remember it being less than that.
Well, I didn't look at Honduras. I looked at Nicaragua, but yeah, it was the same thing. It was level 3. So
I had tons of like people going on this trip that all of a sudden looked it up, and they're like, "Is it safe? Like this? It's level 3."
Yeah.
Blah blah blah. And I'm like, I walk around the capital city with no worries. It's always been level 3. And then, but the funny thing was, this year, for whatever reason, they listed frequent rapings on the travel advisory.
That's on for Nicaragua.
Yeah. And and they're like, but it says they're frequent rapings. And I'm like, well, I mean, it's not that frequent.
See, it's like, one man's raping is another man's fun night. You never know.
Yeah.
I mean,
like, come on. I want to be like, listen, if Honduras is level 3 travel advisory, we should really start taking this further, because I would put Baltimore, Chicago, Philadelphia at
way higher.
Yeah, they're at least a level 3.
Hell, North St. Louis is a level 3 minimum. Yeah, I mean, I'd go higher than that.
Dude, I'll be completely honest with you. I've walked around the Capitol many times at night. I can't say that about a lot of other cities I go to in the U.S. Like, there's plenty of cities I ain't going out at night.
Right. Yep.
Honduras has never scared me at all.
Well, good.
So it's kind of funny how the politics and,
Yeah, I get it.
So it's probably like anywhere else. You dick around in the wrong neighborhood,
Exactly. Fuck around and find out. That's exactly it. So, okay. So speaking of fucking around, because you don't have much time for it when you're on the Aladino farm tour here. So I'm looking at the agenda for day 2. So you've got coffee from 7 to 7:45, then breakfast from 7:45 to 8:30. But then from 8:30 to 8:45, you're traveling to Farm Victoria del Corojo.
Correct.
And that's the farm. That's like what, the fields?
That's the Fields.
Okay.
And that's named after Julio. Nate renamed it a couple years ago. It's named after his mother.
Mm, very cool. And then from 9 to 11:15, you're learning about farm operation. So I assume this is when Justo's showing you all the plants, and you're going all through what, the greenhouse with the
Yeah.
little baby ones.
You start at the seeds and then the baby plants, and you work your way all the way through primings.
Okay.
So that's also why we want people there in February, because you're in the middle of, you get to see all of that.
That
Still
makes
planting
sense.
going on, there's still growing going on, and priming has started. So you literally, if you're there in February, you'll see every single step.
Very cool. And then at 11:15, that's when you come back to Camp Aladino and you have lunch, and that goes until 1 o'clock. And then from 1:30 to 3:30, you're heading to the box factory. And I've heard so many wonderful things about the box factory.
The box factory. So it's important to see, it's hard to show because it's a box factory. It's loud.
Oh,
Unlike a lot of other places, I mean, we make everything.
yeah.
And we want to show you that. Like, we don't cut any corners. All the wood that you see here, it's all from Honduras. Like, everything's native, everything's local. That's important. And then the other part of it is like showing people not just all the work that goes into tobacco, because we're at a point now where we're definitely at a point where the consumers are getting tired of the price hikes. I think we've got some price fatigue.
I'd say that. Yeah.
Then once you go to the farm, you're like, I don't know how cigars are so cheap.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. That said, like, I'm tired of prices going up too. Aladino, I can say this proudly, we're one of the few companies not increasing prices so far this year.
That's good.
But a lot of that's because we can control more of our costs than other companies can, because we do everything from seed to shelf.
Yeah.
Then it's getting difficult. But again, it's like, let's go to the box factory. These boxes before, 2019, this box cost $2 to make. Now this box costs $8.50 to make.
Yeah.
Like, and you need to see the process. The other part of it is then people will say, well, why don't we find a cheaper way to make boxes, or why don't we buy them from China, the cardboard stuff, and on and on and on. I'm like, I get that. That would help our end consumer in America. They might pay 50 cents to $1 less per cigar if we did it.
Yeah.
But then you have to see it from especially Julio's point of view. If I did that, how many people in this village no longer have an employed job?
I was going to say, now you're laying off everybody in the box factory, and
it's vital to the village. And part of that, it's also been so cool. Anybody you talk to that's actually been on the trip, and especially if you bring Justin on, even just 2020, my first time there were so many houses that have been built in the village since 2020, just because this company's been revived.
Wow.
And there's money, and these people have jobs, and they're building houses. Like we have coffee shops. We didn't have coffee shops 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Dude, like little things like that. It's like, oh, don't take their jobs away either. Like,
yeah,
it's a community. It takes a village to make a cigar.
Well, and I appreciate that, because I do think that, we in the United States, we have farmed way too much stuff out to China and various other countries that has in turn hurt our standing, here. And yeah, we're paying more for, you could argue we're paying more. That maybe we'd be paying more for a product if it were made here. But on the flip side, like, I think the benefit to that would be greater. I think that money, you'd be spending local versus, spending elsewhere. But I don't know.
1,000%.
Yeah.
Now, that said, there's still some things that you have to agree that you can't pull off. Because you are limited when you're making everything yourself. You are limited in that sense. And I'll give you a peek. It won't come from Aladino. It will come from someone else. But we are doing a project that is mind-blowing. It's going to be the coolest thing this industry's ever done.
Okay.
And there's one special cigar. It's going to be a 5-pack. One special cigar in that 5-pack, but the packaging itself is worth the penny.
Really?
It's going to blow people's minds.
Huh.
And it's a concept we couldn't pull off, but we had the engineers fly out that wanted to do this project. And we sketched it all out and came up with an idea that is going to work. And it's really cool to work with an engineer that's not in cigars, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For them to I got to see the cigars and figure out how fragile they are. And then for that engineer to be like, oh no, here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
And I was like, nobody in this industry has done anything anywhere close to this. And it's baller.
Nice.
So
Okay.
look for that. I think we can pull that off maybe in Q4, maybe.
Okay.
But there's going to be, if you're an Aladino nerd and an Aladino collector, there's going to be something so special in Q4.
Okay. But it's not an Aladino. I mean, it's an Aladino made cigar, but it's not necessarily going to be branded Aladino, or
we haven't got that far yet.
Okay.
Now,
Okay.
Knowing the people doing the project,
Yeah.
they will want everybody to know it's Aladino because they want the tobacco nerds, because it's gonna be the nerds that want this.
Okay.
And
Right.
the special cigar in the middle is insanely good, and this is going to be the only way to get it. Period. End of story.
Okay. All right then. Well,
we're talking about maybe 5,000 of them being made.
Oh wow! So it's definitely a limited little deal.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, very cool. So then after the box,
I'll tell you more offline. I can't tell you, but I'll give you a little. You're gonna want one of these, and we got to make it happen.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll discuss that when we're done talking online here. So after the box factory, that's when you come back and you're chilling out. Looks like from 3:30 to 7, leisure time and open bar. And then from there, 7 to 8:30 is dinner and open bar. So there is a fair amount of leisure time there in the afternoon and evening.
Yeah, and so we kind of build that in for multiple reasons. One, especially when you come back from the field that first day, so tired.
Okay.
Like, you've been in the heat, you've been sweating your butt off all day, half a day, and you're walking. Like, there's a lot of walking involved.
Okay.
You add all that together, and it's like, okay, people need a little bit of downtime.
Yeah.
But then, two, if there are special projects with anybody that is on that trip, then that's also a time like, hey, everybody else can drink mojitos, sit by the pool, get in the
We're
pool.
gonna do business. Yeah.
And it gives us a little bit of time to let's go try some stuff.
Okay.
Sometimes the stuff works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's the fun,
All right. Well, that makes sense then.
And then the night is always great because you're meeting new people from across the country, new friends that share the same passion as you. And you're just under the stars in the hammock, having some mojitos, maybe drinking some local liquor called Tatiscan.
Tatiscan.
Which I know we sell the Tatiscan cigars.
Yeah.
But it was Julio's best friend who started Tatiscan first. And it's a liquor company in Honduras.
Look at that. And that's where the little hat, the cowboy hat comes from.
Yeah, so the cowboy hat. Funny you mentioned this. So that's where the cowboy hat comes from.
Yeah.
Tatiscan means, boss of boss, big boss man, cowboy hat.
Yeah.
Probably not this year, but possibly next year. There may be a little refresh of Tatiscan and maybe some additional. I can't say too. I'm sure if Justo watches this, I'm going to get a phone call.
All right. Well,
let me just tell you this. I am insanely excited where Tatiscan is going.
Okay.
And especially after, listen, this industry is crazy. So I know a lot of people out there are like cigar purists and everything, like, Tatiscan, blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, listen, you can say that all you want to, but 3 of our top 10 SKUs are Tatiscan without us ever even pushing it, without us really marketing it, nothing.
Yeah.
It just does its thing. And I've been pushing for several years, like, we should lean into it. We need to develop it
Yeah.
further. And anybody who's listening now, if you paid attention, Drew Estate did their live last week, like 6 days ago, and everybody got their Drew Estate live shit recently.
Yeah.
And surprise,
They used to get those. They used to send those to me.
but not anymore.
No, they stopped sending those to me the last couple. So,
well, the one they sent this week was a Connecticut sweet tip.
Oh, really?
So to me, them's fighting words.
Well, yeah, because I mean that's Tatiscan right there.
Yeah. So Drew Estate, love you guys. You're probably going to charge twice as much as we do. And you're probably going to market it very well. Because they're very, very, very good at marketing.
They are.
If they get more people to smoke things like Tatiscan, like, awesome. Cool. It's something that I wasn't into until I got on this side of the business. And now that's what I have for breakfast, like every single day of my life.
Yeah.
I like a light sweet tip cigar.
That sweet tip does go away after a relatively short period of time. I mean, it's not like you're like getting down to the end and still dealing with it. If you're somebody who maybe doesn't like the sweet tip, I don't know. I don't mind it every once in a while.
It's a refreshing thing. And for me to see Drew Estate be like, oh, we can do this better than them and probably charge a premium for it. The other part of me is like, Julio like invented that. So it's kind of cool that they're going to try to make it a thing. And the other part of me is like, all right, I know y'all got tons of money for marketing and all that shit. I'm ready. I'm ready to start cranking this shit. I'm ready to change some of the marketing here.
Yeah.
Like half my day in the lab today, getting ready for 2026. So I'm pumped. I already tested. There was one cigar I had down there that will be a new Tatiscan.
Yeah.
That I'm like, I told Justo as soon as I took like 2 puffs and I just gave it back to him, like, I'll sell the shit out of those. Let's do it.
There you go. All right.
Yo, get ready.
So then day 2, you're getting up at 7 again, having coffee, having breakfast, getting going with everything by 8:30. And that's when everybody is going to the cigar factory and they're sitting down and they're meeting with Julio.
Correct.
And that goes all the way up until lunch. So, I mean, you're getting a good amount of time with Julio.
And you never know what you're getting. It's all up to Julio. And Julio does whatever Julio wants.
Yeah.
It's always totally open Q&A. Julio doesn't have a set story he wants to tell you. He wants to meet everybody. He might have a cigar he wants you to try.
Okay.
Or he might want to show you something with the cigar that you didn't know about.
Okay.
And then after that, it's like, ask me literally anything, and I will tell you literally anything. And his stories are informative. They're hilarious. You're hearing the history of like the last of the original people that left Cuba. He's the last one. You want those stories? This is where you can get them.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting.
He also likes to point out to people that come there, because he always hears people like, oh, do you have a cutter? Do you have a cutter? And he's like, nobody uses cutters. Like, this is an American made up bullshit.
It's an accessory that nobody really needed.
Yeah, so like everybody on the farm, like, and I've gotten used to it too now. Like, I've done it enough that even when I go to cigar stores, I use my fingers just to pull the cap off. Like,
yeah,
that's all I do, and I never have an issue. But then Julio does something that I've not seen anybody else do before. He likes to take his long match that he's going to light his cigar with.
Yeah.
He just pokes a hole in the cigar and then lights it. Like,
oh shit.
And I'm like,
so he uses his match like a punch.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I'm literally like, I've never even thought about that.
But see, how would that work? Because you're just driving that tobacco down. With the punch, it's cored out in the middle. So when you're pulling it out, you're taking the schmuckus kind of with it.
What Julio likes to tell you when he does that,
yeah,
he says, my cigars aren't dirty. And then he says, my cap is also substantial. So, yeah. So he's like, watch this. Pokes a straight hole through it with the match, lights it with the same match. And he's like, no problems.
Hell, I'm impressed he's lighting it with a match because, I mean, that's a skill in and of itself, to be honest. I'm so spoiled. I'm spoiled with the 3-jet, freaking triple flame, big ass tank, this and that and whatever.
Aren't we spoiled though?
We are spoiled.
It's like these people have been making cigars for so long, and it's kind of like how long have human beings been wearing shoes?
Yeah,
not a long time. We just now started wearing shoes. And it's like cigars have been around a long time. We just now started using butane. Like this is not how it's been done forever.
No. Well, very cool. And then from after lunch, you're going and you're learning cigar rolling.
Yeah.
So everybody sits down and rolls some cigars.
You'll get two things will happen at the cigar rolling time. We don't force anybody to do it, but if you want to learn how to roll cigars, you're invited to go sit down with a team and learn, and then roll your own cigar to take home.
Okay.
You also have that time is also when, especially this year, it was like, hey, we've got some new blends we want everybody to try and get your opinions on. And this year to me was maybe more special than all the other years we've done this, because every other time it's been, here's one blend that we think is going to be a home run. Like,
yeah.
I remember I was there for the Cameroon. I was there for the Classic. I was there for Cameroon Reserva, blah, 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 blah. All of them were fun and awesome and groundbreaking and cool.
Okay.
This year, it was like, we have 3. You guys smoke all 3. And it wasn't, tell us which one of these 3. It was like, we're pretty sure all 3 of these are baller. And of course, everybody agreed.
There you go.
And they're all 3 very different than anything Aladino has done in the past.
So it was a good year to go on this trip, then, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
And especially, it's a good time if you're on this trip or if you're a farm store from the past, because we officially also have totally done our farm cigar program.
Okay.
So every year, there will be a new cigar that comes out that if you've been to the farm, you're able to buy it. Nobody else. And then the year after that, that cigar will then be under a new label, under an Aladino line, and available to the public. So
okay.
It's another reason to get your ass to the farm so that you can get in on these things that you're ahead of everyone else. We're not chasing the money. We're like making this an experiential thing.
Yeah.
And so this year, it's not one cigar. Congratulations, farm cigars. You're going to get 3. They're all the same size, which is a brand new size we've never done before.
Okay. Can you say what that is?
No. But it's a really cool size that is going to be super popular. And that size will end up being a new line next year. It'll have a name. It'll be cool. So this is kind of like my freestyle live.
I have to put this down.
Oh,
I'm at the point where I'm singeing
overall. What are your overall thoughts on it?
Overall, I liked it. It was I'm not the biggest Connecticut guy, but it wasn't a bad Connecticut. It had some spice to it. It had some body to it. How do I put this and not sound shitty?
Say it.
It's not to the level of some of the higher end Aladinos, but it's more. It's definitely like more than like a Tatiscan or like a budget thing. I mean, the second third and the third kind of were very similar. I didn't notice a lot of transition between the second and third portions of it. The first I thought was perhaps a little more mild. I do think it ramped up from the first third to the second third. But I think once you got to the second, third, it was pretty much like, this is what it is. But it was good. I liked it, obviously. And smoking time on it, a little over an hour, right around an hour. So, so, I mean, that's solid right there. Construction was great. I didn't have any ash issues. Burn line was straight. Draw was good. I mean, it was a very solid cigar.
The overall goal for that cigar, we still got some tweaking to do, but the overall goal is to be a sub $8 Connecticut.
Oh, sub $8 Connecticut all day long. All day long. That right there is a solid sub $8 Connecticut.
That's the goal.
I would stack that up against a McAuliffe Blue or some of these other ones. Like I would 100% do that. Just a nice mild with just a hint of something. So mild plus. We'll say mild plus. Sub $8 Connecticut. That's a home run.
Here's the thing with that cigar. I actually, we also have them in box press samples.
Okay.
Box
I mean,
press.
you know me, I prefer round to box press, but
like the box press adds an incredible amount of spice.
Really,
the flavor profile on the box press, I enjoy more. But if I'm being pragmatic, you're going to sell more round than you are box.
You are, especially if you give people the option. However, that could be a fun like side by side.
Yeah, I've even toyed with the idea of, I've asked people like, what would you do if you got a split box? Half the box was round.
Round and box press. Yeah, I don't know though. Well, but has that been done?
I don't know anybody that's done it.
Because I mean, not to bring up the other Aroa, but I'm thinking of Asylum. They've done the like Medulla Oblongata, but that's like different blends. But this would be a round and a box press of the same blend, just kind of the way
I think would actually be really cool to show people how.
And that's the thing. That's what I'm thinking. Even if you didn't do it as a box, even if you just did like the fresh packs, maybe like 2 and 2 or 3 and 2 or whatever, just so that people could actually like, hey, I want to compare, because we talk about it, but not everybody has the ability to get access to that.
Let's take it one step further than that.
Yeah.
So we were doing a tasting panel with somebody that was doing a project with us, and initially they were upset and thought we were lying, that we had given them the same blend, but they didn't taste. We said it was the same blend. It didn't taste the same and it didn't look the same. And they took pictures. And I said, congratulations, you've learned about shade sorting. Which is a thing. In fact, like if you don't know this, like the entire industry, like this happens across the board.
Yeah.
And that's cool. That these are things you don't know unless you come to the factory and see it done in person.
Yeah.
Well, let's take the Aladino, Connecticut, for example. Like I actually have a video of our standard Aladino, Connecticut being rolled out. They're all done. It's the same blend, but one of the last processes it goes through before it goes into a box is color sorting, which is funny because the color sorting is done multiple times. So even when you have your first leaves and they're dried and they're ready for everything, the first step they go through when they're ready is color sorting. That way you have the closest colors already packed together the whole way.
Yeah.
But even then, when you actually go to roll the cigar with the finished product, you will end up with several different shades of the same cigar.
And as a consumer, it's confusing if you open up a box and it's supposed to be the same cigar, but that one's a little darker than this one, and this one's in the middle, and that's, what I mean? Yeah.
So what you do is then it goes through. I should send you videos of this too. I'll put a bunch of stuff on social media. I'm gonna start doing.
Oh.
I
see Husto in the parishioners group.
Oh boy, I bet you do. I'll be on there more often. So, but you'll get there's art when you have a even just slightly darker wrapper. Will taste a little bit different.
Okay.
but it's the same blend.
But it is the same.
But you want the entire box to look the same. So from box to box, there's always the chance that one box is going to be slightly different, not majorly, but slightly. And you might smoke a box and be like, "Oh, I don't know what it is about this Connecticut, but it's hitting a little bit better."
Yeah.
It's just your palate, and it's just you maybe got a slightly different shade. There's one major company out there, not going to name any names.
Okay.
But they have a Maduro and a natural that are the exact same cigar. It's the same wrapper. They're just shades. It's just shades.
Really.
It's it.
I'll be damned.
And does it create a slightly different flavor? Sure, it does. But if you mix the box of those things up,
Yeah.
their colors aren't that far off.
Interesting.
Again, won't say that on. We can talk after.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
This is a real thing.
I am going to have to start taking notes here because there's so many little things you've dropped that I need to ask you about after. So
there's lots of other things. Here, I'll point out another thing because I've been in the factories long enough now that I'm starting to actually I'm still a noob. Don't get me wrong. I'm still a noob, but I'm learning lots of things.
Yeah.
If you see a cigar and the vein is the same exact color as the wrapper,
okay,
something's been done.
It's been painted or something like that.
Hey, I don't like the word painted because they don't paint the cigar.
Yeah.
But there is a technique.
Okay.
We don't do that technique, but now I learned how to do it.
Interesting. Okay. So, after cigar rolling, I put away the itinerary. After cigar rolling, goes from there. It's pretty much
after the cigar
you're
rolling,
chilling out and
that's your last night on the farm.
Chilling out, hanging out, doing the dinner thing.
That's party time. And it's
party night.
It's pupusa time first.
So yeah, pupusa. I was supposed to ask you about pupusa.
No. One of my favorite foods on planet Earth is the pupusa.
Okay.
They're so magical. They're so magical.
What is the pupusa?
So it's a El Salvador does pupusas. Honduras does pupusas. I think Nicaragua does. Not positive. Maybe Panama. Not positive.
Okay.
But it looks like if you could describe a hybrid between a pita and a tortilla.
Okay.
So it's a thick tortilla, but it still has a tortilla consistency, but thick. And you can slice it in the middle and pack it full of stuff before you slap it on the grill.
Oh, like a pita.
It's like a pita, but it's a tortilla pita.
Okay.
And typically, traditionally, you're going to stuff it with either just cheese.
Yeah.
You might do cheese and chorizo.
Or I do like chorizo.
Cheese and beans.
Okay.
Or you might do my favorite, chicharrones.
Okay.
That little
Yeah.
In that pupusa. But along with that, so I'll tell a funny story. A lot of people have never had a pupusa, let alone seen them being made.
Yeah.
So we're inside the house and we cook the pupusas outside on the last night. That's the big final meal. So the girls are outside preparing the pupusas. We're inside at the bar having some drinks and everything. But the windows are all open because it's, 80 degrees.
Yeah.
And all you hear is
clapping.
It sounds like cheeks getting clapped,
God.
A couple of the people looked at me.
Which attracts your attention.
Well, a couple of the natives not natives, the native United States fuckers.
Yeah.
Looked at me and they're like, Trey, what is that noise? What's going on? Like, it sounds like someone's getting it on.
Ah, okay.
And I just look at them like, oh, they're just out there spanking the pupusa. And everybody's like, what? And I go, yeah, look out this window. And you look out the window and there's the girls with the dough and they're
spanking the pupusa.
spanking the dough. And I'm like, that's a pupusa. They're just spanking the pupusa.
Okay.
So I love to spank pupusas.
Okay.
But the key to all that, so that you make your pupusa, the fun thing to do, especially if you're a fatty like me, you want one of each pupusa.
Well, I was gonna say, I'm sitting here thinking about this. And I don't know how big these things are, but I'm like, I bet I could probably throw down and have quite a few pupusas.
My average is 6.
Holy crap! How big are these things?
Like,
Oh, so they're like a little tiny, like
not really tiny, but it's like
so like
tiny, but they're not big. But
so I'm thinking like, okay, so like here in the States, you get the flour tortillas tend to be a little bigger, but then the corn tortillas tend to be like on the smaller. We talking like a corn tortilla size?
a little bigger than like a corn tortilla.
Okay, but not a ton.
No, but bigger.
Okay. But still enough that, yeah, you could probably throw it down.
So I like to get 4, one of each.
Okay.
Put that on the plate. And then I covered in what they call curtido,
Okay.
which is El Salvador and Honduras have what they call curtido, which is a slaw. But it's not like slaw that we think of. Like me, I don't like coleslaw.
Okay.
Don't like it.
Really?
Tito, on the other hand, I crave this shit all year long. I make it myself now. But basically, it's a way of making slaw with salt and citrus, but you're not adding any mayonnaise or any shit like that.
Yeah.
It's just salt and citrus. If you want to put sugar in it, you can. I don't.
Okay.
And then if you want hot, then you add, different peppers to it, and then some vinegar, and you basically just let it cure.
Yeah.
Let it ferment. Now, I think most people like curtido that's made somewhat fresh, like it's been there a day.
Yeah.
I challenge anybody.
But you, mister, I want to put my burrito on the counter for a fucking month.
I tried telling so many people about aging burritos on this trip, and everybody just like, I'm gonna age one for a few of you and just bring it to you and change your world.
Oh God.
But for me, the curtido, when I make it myself, like 3 weeks is when the magic happens, man.
Okay.
Magic starts to happen. You put that shit on hot dogs, hamburgers, pupusas, baleadas. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
Helps your digestion, whatever meat. Like, that's the thing. I can eat 6 pupusas and I have the slaw on top. I don't feel like shit. In fact, when I eat Honduras, I can eat heavy meals, never feel bad. I'm in the States, fuck me.
Yeah.
Like, RFK's got to get this shit under control. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So that's the final night is the party.
You have the pupusas first.
Yeah.
And then maybe a few mojitos.
Okay.
Mojitos are real good down there. Everything's fresh squeezed and all that jazz.
Yeah.
And maybe that's when I like to introduce everybody to Tatiscan. maybe that starts flowing. And then after that, we like to keep it a little secret, but there's a nice ceremony that takes place your last night that you won't forget, you will be a part of, and it's culturally significant.
Okay.
So there's a lot of culture involved in the last night. It's a lot of fun. And then you try to go to bed at a decent time because you're going to be on the bus by 5 a.m. the next day.
Oh, flying home after that. Well, makes for a long day.
Took me 23 hours.
Oh my God.
Not the case for everybody else.
Yeah.
For me, just 23 hours in Florida.
Lucky you. Yeah. Well, very cool. So it sounds like it was a fun trip for everybody. Are there any other anecdotes that you feel like sharing from the trip?
The trip,
like the funny stuff that happened with the group, or any sort of
okay.
any anecdotes.
Maybe one little funny thing.
Oh, okay.
So my boy Shervin, shout out Shervin,
Okay.
got a new nickname. I call him Abu
Nicknames tend to happen on these trips.
every time.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how I got nicknamed Broadleaf.
That was last year, as I
It was
recall.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
What was
Abu,
what was Ken's?
he was 9 primings.
9 primings.
Um,
9 primings. Okay.
but if you remember Aladdin, the little monkey on Aladdin is Abu.
Yeah. Abu.
Okay. So Shervin is our guy out of California that works for us.
Okay.
Love him, been in the industry for 20 years, whatever. Good dude. He's a 45-year-old who's still like stuck in like an 18-year-old's body, mentality, everything.
Dude, we're in the cigar industry. I mean, like realistically, I think that pertains to quite a few people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Shervin is running around on the farm barefoot.
Oh, that's probably not a good idea.
I don't like feet, and I let him know that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then I'm like, you're on a farm in a foreign country, and you look like a little. He looks like a little monkey. He's got the little hair, bushy hair, and
Oh God.
feet, and so I called him Abu, and because it's Aladino, the whole family knows the Aladino story.
Yeah.
Aladdin story. Like Vivian laughed so hard. Oh, it's Abu. She goes, I was going to call him Mowgli,
Mowgli. That would also work.
but he's Abu. Anyway, Abu's hilarious. Shervin's hilarious. But I was telling him about my trip to the villages.
Oh, yes. That's a trip I want to talk about on here too.
Oh, we didn't talk about that on the last.
No, because the last time you were on, we talked about your trip to Ireland, and the trip to the villages has taken place since then.
Been a
Yeah,
while.
it's been a minute.
So if you don't, okay, so maybe we'll just tell 2 stories here. To
Yeah.
wrap up.
Okay.
So the villages, just so everybody knows, just Google the villages, Florida. Most of you sick fucks probably already know about it.
The villages. America. What is it? Is it America's friendliest hometown? I think it's America's friendliest hometown.
They are pretty friendly there.
Especially if you know the loofah code.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
The villages, a few things about it real quick. It's a gigantic like retirement village, 55 and up, but not like your old folks home. Nope.
No.
People that have retired with money and they're just ready to party the rest of their life, and they party every day. And
good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Being there, I now understand my goal in life is to make it to a place where I can move there and live it out in the villages.
All right, then.
But it is also the STD capital of the world.
Yes, it is.
And swinging is a huge thing in the villages. Like it's a customary thing. And part of that culture is everybody drives golf carts around the entire city. And it's a large city, 5 miles wide and 30 miles long.
Wow.
And you put a different color of loofah on the back of your golf cart, and that lets everybody know what you're into.
What you're into.
And my boy Shervin, I was telling him about my visit to the villages, and he was making fun of it, like that's blah blah blah, that's not true. And it was a big thing.
Nope, it's true.
And everybody was like, man, Shervin is so against this that maybe he's covering up. Maybe he's just so anti the villages because he's hiding something. So he might have had a little too much to drink that night and went to bed before the rest of us.
Oh no.
So we might have grabbed a loofah of a certain color and put it on his doorknob that night.
Which, based off the photo that you sent, let me see if I can go back in the text chain and find it. It was, I believe, a pink one.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the research. I Googled, and I found that the pink ones, come on, damn it, where in the hell is my text to you? Pink is soft swap. They like doing it with others in the room.
Yeah, so that's like almost beginner swapping.
Yeah. So he's using the cuck chair, in the
Yeah,
hotel
so
rooms. It's like somebody's in the corner smoking the cigarette, like faster, harder.
Yeah, we all learned on this trip that Shervin is into soft swapping.
Okay.
So yeah, things like that. You never know what's going to happen on the trip.
Oh my God.
And you know what? Good news too. If by chance maybe you did drink too much one night, and maybe you do wake up feeling like shit, or maybe you actually get sick. We do have a doctor on staff, and Shervin the next morning he got an IV. Got him hooked up to the old IV,
Hey,
and get you feeling better.
there you go.
So
They were doing IV treatment at TPE this year.
It's a thing, man.
It was popular as hell. I'll say that much.
It's a thing.
It was popular, and I heard it makes you feel pretty good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there you have it. There's a little insight into the trip.
There you go.
I don't know. This year we had Justin come on the trip. He won the prize.
Yeah.
We try to keep it to retailers. We want retailers on the trip.
Well, yeah.
But we are looking into other things in the future with our consumers.
Oh, okay.
One might happen. There'll be two. Number one, you can come to Pulpit Fest.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Aladino might also have another option this fall as well. It'll be really cool if we can pull it off. We're working on it right now.
Okay.
And then possibly someday in the future, you never know, we might have a way for consumers to come to the farm. For instance, this next week, you hear of Pro Cigar and things of that nature. Honduras has started their festival as well.
Oh, really? That's
And
cool.
It hasn't gotten much press because it's really not completely put together, but we're doing it again anyway.
Kind of its infancy.
Yeah, it's in its infancy.
Yeah.
But the girls will be there to do tours and stuff to people to come to the Honduran Festival this next week.
Very cool.
And so that's something we really want to grow in the future because Honduras is an insanely rich cigar history. In fact, outside of Cuba, that was the first place they started growing tobacco.
Really?
And that was Julio and the Oliva tobacco family. It was a pilot program that Cuba started.
I'll be damned.
So, in fact, when you come to the farm, one of the cool things you get to see, and hopefully we do a project with in the future, you get to see the oldest tobacco barn outside of Cuba.
Wow.
That we still use today.
Neat. I like that.
It's really cool. And
That
it's
is cool.
when you walk in because it's built like Cuban barns, which are made to withstand hurricanes.
Ah, okay.
But after building that barn and going through a few cycles, they understood that, Honduras doesn't get hurricanes.
So you can make simpler barns.
We can make bigger barns that are more simple, that hold more tobacco and not these angular things.
There you go.
So that's super cool too. And we need to make a plaque and all sorts of things to that particular barn to really kind of showcase it.
Yeah.
But yeah, Honduras is a really rich history of tobacco history. And I'm glad that we're starting a festival that we hope to grow in the near future. And that'll be a really good chance for consumers to come down and check it out.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I am going to fire up the second cigar here, the
Right.
Aladino limited edition. This is not the Cameroon Reserva. So this is what is this one?
Now let's talk about shade sorting.
Okay.
That has Cameroon wrapper on it.
Yeah.
Cameroon Reserva also has Cameroon wrapper on it.
Yeah.
Put them side by side. The Cameroon Reserva is way darker than the one that you have.
Okay.
It tastes dramatically different. Now the Cameroon Reserva is all Cameroon, but the one you're lighting up there has some other things in the filler and binder, and it has an aged Cameroon wrapper from either our first or second harvest, and it creates it's an extremely sophisticated smoke.
Okay.
That's
Well,
my favorite.
I'm going to cut the cigar, and it's brought to you by twoguyscigars.com. Hey, there you go. Second time, it's quicker, and I'm not doing the script second time. I don't have a tight, succinct script like they do for the Perdomo deal. So,
Mr. Jonathan, do not spread that video.
I got to see this video now. I'm sure I can get a hold of it.
If you know about Sasquatch, there might be some wood knocking in that video.
Oh God. Well, all right then. So, this cigar, as I recall, was this unveiled at TP, or was this wasn't
PCA 2 years ago?
Was this PCA 2 years ago?
Years.
Okay, all right. I'm trying to remember.
It was that in the Sumatra.
I was gonna say, because I remember Sumatra in that kind of time frame as well.
Now that one that you're smoking, there was only like 600 boxes released.
Okay. Well, damn, look at me. So let's talk PCA. Like, we'll give a little preview here. What can you say pre-PCA?
Two gigantic things. There's really going to be two things that everything is focused on.
Okay.
Number one is the documentary. So the hand-rolled folks, if you haven't watched the hand-rolled documentaries already, stop what you're doing, push pause, go fucking watch this.
I've watched the original one. I will admit, I have yet to watch the Newman one.
So they've got the Newmans, and then there was Pete Johnson's part one. So Pete Johnson.
That one slipped by me. I didn't even know about that one.
Yeah, so Pete's a funny guy. I love Pete to death. He's actually way more shy than people would think he is.
Yeah.
And he's a tobacco purist himself. But Hand Rolled is actually Pete's company.
Okay.
They're his friends in California. He lets them do whatever the hell they want to. But they do documentaries on all sorts of things. But Pete was like, we really need to start telling the story of cigars.
Yeah.
So he got them to do Hand Rolled is the first one. And that kind of covers the entire story of how cigars started and where they're at today. Just kind of in 1.5 hours, this is everything.
Yeah, it could probably stand a little bit of an update given some of the court rulings and various things that have taken place since the end of that. But that's all documentaries, It's like it's a product of its time.
Sure.
Yeah.
But at the end, like when Hand Rolled came out and they showed it, I talked to Pete and the two guys that are the head makers of Hand Rolled. I said, listen, I love what you guys did. And I know I'm not the only one that said this. I know they got this from multiple sources, but me and little Vivi, especially, I grabbed her from the table. I was like, let's go talk to her. We go over there and we both said, listen, love the documentary. Vivi's a sweetheart. She's not as crass as me. Sometimes you got to be crass to get your point across.
Yeah.
And I said, love what you guys did. It's freaking awesome. But I got some beef. And little Vivi's looking at me like, you got beef? Oh my God, he's got beef. And I'm like, what's your beef? And I said, well, you told this great story that's so important. And I was like, Julio Aroa got one sentence in the entire film. And without Julio, you don't have the Plasencias. Without Julio, you don't have the Fuentes.
Yep.
You don't have a whole lot of other shit. And by the way, you don't know what allowed Julio to do that either. Like he's such a pioneer in this industry, and he'll never get on a soapbox. The only way to hear his story is to go to Honduras and sit with him. He doesn't tell it to the magazines. He doesn't tell it on social media. And Pete knows the history. And Pete looked at me and said, you're absolutely right. So then it was like, well, how about we fix this? And so began the discussions on what to do and how to do it and the money and all that shit to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, the hard part on that is that
you got to get them down there.
Well, and Julio's tree, again, without Julio, you don't have a lot of families in this industry.
Yeah.
And so part of it was also like, well, shit, if we're going to do this documentary on Julio, we have to interview all of these other people too. And so it creates this giant, like, oh, these are people that are not easy to reach and they're all over the place. And
Yeah.
fly here, fly there. But it was an important piece. Pete acknowledged that and decided to make the guys go to work on it. And that documentary will debut at PCA. There will be a special showing that tells Julio's story. It's not really, it ends with Aladino,
Yeah.
but it's not a movie about Aladino. It's about Julio.
Very cool.
How he started in Cuba, how he left Cuba, and everything in between. And Aladino is where he's at now. So that'll be the end part of the movie. And the other cool part of it is the way it is going to end is, I say this, I haven't seen the cut. And that's the thing, when you're dealing with artists, they're going to gather as much data and information and footage, cool footage, but you got to let an artist do what an artist does. And they have to tell the story. That's what makes it cool. You're getting a third party to tell the story. That's the beauty of all this shit.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, we have no idea what the movie's going to look like. You do the documentary and then it comes out. Like, in fact, like Pete's documentary, part 1 came out last year. And I was hanging out with Pete the night before it got released.
Okay.
So Pete, like, what's the documentary going to be like tomorrow? And he goes, I have no idea.
Oh, shit.
He goes, in fact, it's not even finished. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And he goes, I haven't seen a preview, and I know the guys are still working on it tonight.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, so you literally have no fucking clue. Like, got no idea. We'll see it tomorrow.
Wow. Okay. Talk about taking it down to the wire.
Yeah, which is what artists do.
Yeah, I get that, but still. It's like if you're going to be showing it at a thing like that, you'd think you'd probably have had it finished before you get there. But, what are you going to do?
Well, what ended up with Pete's is they didn't have enough to do it in an hour and a half. Or they had too much, sorry.
Hence the part 1.
So, Pete's ends at an hour and a half, and it's like, the rest of the story will be told some other time. We can't put this all in one show.
I guess it helps that it's your production company.
Yeah.
you get the 3-hour Gone with the Wind version, whereas so
they did hand rolled, and then did you say you've seen the Newmans or no?
I have not seen the Newmans. So
the Newman story, I would also implore people to go out there and watch it.
Yeah.
You'll learn a lot of things about the Newman family and their importance in this industry, which is different. I love that they did it on the Newman family because their history and importance to this industry is different than, say, Julio.
Yeah.
Julio's importance was, how do we get out of Cuba and get important people out of Cuba and make this a thing? Whereas the Newmans were in a whole different scenario.
Yeah, I mean, that's more like, American dream, building the company, and whole
different scenario. War is a big part of their story. If it wasn't for multiple wars, wouldn't necessarily be where they're at today. And I won't spoil it. I'm just go watch it. You'll understand. Say that. The same thing goes for the Fuentes. I'll tell a quick Fuente story because I don't think a lot of people know this either. So in Florida, if you come to Florida, there's really 3 families that you see everywhere. Well, there's 4. Padron, Fuente, Oliva, and Plasencia.
Okay.
The reason those 4 are really, really, really important to Florida is because they did what's called cafeteria cigars.
Okay.
And that was really the backbone of this entire industry. So cafeteria cigars were just really cheap cigars that all of the Cubans, the people from Cuba, would smoke in Florida. You know, you got to think like the majority of Cuban cigars were actually rolled in Tampa for a really long time. Tampa was where everything was at. Like 90% of Cuban cigars were fucking rolled in Tampa. A lot of people don't know this shit. And the cafeteria cigars were the cigars that were cheaper that the locals could afford. And, you know, that kind of just started the whole thing in Florida, the whole culture.
Yeah.
One of those was the Fuente family. Once they were getting established, at that point in time, Julio owned Perfecto Garcia in Tampa.
Okay.
And the Fuentes were wanting to get their start. And they came to him and said, you know, we don't really have X, Y, or Z, but we want to, and we're trying to get there. And Julio was like, well, we can make like machine rolled seconds for you, no problem. And the curly heads were done then, and the curly heads were the cafeteria cigars.
Yeah.
Oh, and that's what gave the Fuentes the leg up to really start growing their business and build their business. And now here we are today.
Interesting.
So it's like little things like that unless you get into the weeds and get involved with these people, all of these old Cuban families they don't tell these stories. They're not looking for the spotlight. They don't.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't do that. And these are the stories that need to be told. And that's what hand roll does.
Very cool.
So that's the whole thing. We're going to do the hand roll documentary at PCA. It's either the first or second night of PCA. You can come and watch the unveiling of the film, and you'll get some cigars from us to enjoy during the film.
I guess it's too much to think that maybe Julio would make the trip so that he could see this and see everybody consume it.
I can't tell you, but I don't think so.
I would imagine it's probably a stretch, but
he's 87.
Exactly.
He's wheelchair bound. It's a lot.
No, I get it.
Comes to the US like once a year to go to the VA, and that's
it. Okay.
So I'm not going to say that at all.
Yeah.
Story will finally be told. The other part of the story is that I'm sure they'll say this in the documentary. When they first got to Honduras, there were two types of tobacco that they were growing, because those were the two types of tobacco they were growing in Cuba.
Yeah.
That was the authentic true Corojo, and it was also what some people call piloto. There's several different names for it. Cuban seed piloto, whatever.
Oh, okay.
We call it something different, but it's the same shit. That's what they initially wanted to grow. And it just didn't work. And it didn't work. And it didn't work. And it didn't work.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. It's been Julio's life's work to make this tobacco grow in Honduras. And it's a tobacco that I haven't seen used since maybe like 2008 was the last time I saw anybody use this tobacco.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Julio's life's work to make this tobacco a thing again. And he's got it.
He figured it out.
After all these years.
At least he figured it out.
He's got a good amount of it. I saw the bales, and I know the math on the bales of tobacco, which if you want to get into that, that's probably something your viewers don't know either.
Mm-hmm.
So a bale of tobacco is roughly 105 to 125 pounds.
Okay.
Now, in wrapper, if you have 35 pounds of wrapper, you have 1,000 cigars.
Okay.
And if you're talking filler and binder, it's more like 20 pounds equals 1,000 cigars.
Okay.
And I counted not just the cigars already been made for Julio's magnum opus, but there's another like 21 bales of that tobacco sitting.
Oh shit!
So that's
quite a few.
A lot of cigars.
You got a lot of cigars sitting there.
So this project he's literally been working on his whole life, which is why I called it his magnum opus. It's his life.
Yeah.
Um, that will be released at PCA as well, along with the film. So your chance to get it, you got to be there at PCA, and you have to be a Reserva account. So if you
Okay.
already carry Reservas in your store, you can then order Julio's 85th anniversary cigar. And along with some really cool swag that's going to come along with it. And
Neat.
the swag is ball. And it's so cool because Julio, if you know him, or if you've read about him, or if you've been to the farm, you know there's a couple of things about him that are just near and dear to his heart. And when designing the 85th, at first we were going with this crazy, classy, over the top. That's not, at the end of the day, it's not what he wanted. It's like, that's not me.
It's not him. Yeah.
So the box and the designs were redesigned to be Julio to the max.
Okay.
It worked phenomenally. And there will be some really cool pieces of swag that you'll only be able to get at PCA with your 85th anniversary order. That's just going to be so freaking cool. I wish I could spill the beans on all this shit. It'll be here very soon, here in April. And so, yeah, the documentary and the 85th anniversary cigar, that's what PCA is going to be centered around. And that's honestly what the rest of the year for us is going to center around, really just celebrating the life and the legacy of Julio Eroa.
I love it. That's awesome. It sounds like a good plan. So I look forward to that.
They're not going to be expensive either.
Well, that's good.
To have them.
That's good because, like we were saying, the affordable cigars, man. I mean, that's what people are looking for these days. So
our goal over the next 18 months is to have the 85th, which it's not a cheap cigar, but it's also not stupid pricey like some of this stuff has got.
Yeah.
It's going to be kind of middle ground there.
Okay.
It's going to be limited.
Well, now wait a minute. Middle ground could be still expensive depending upon, because I mean, shit, man, we got a $750 Oro out there. We got $100 and $300 and
at this point, your average good cigar is about $15.
Okay.
It's going to be a little bit more.
Okay. So like 20-ish. Oh, under $20, that's fine. Okay. We're good. Okay. Good.
And it's going to be limited like the Reserva, but we're going to use it like the Reserva where it's limited. You can't get a store that buys a whole bunch of them. Everybody's going to operate under the same rules.
Yeah.
See it everywhere.
Okay.
So a store, like with our Reserva, a store can only order 4 boxes of each size per month. End of story.
Yeah.
That way we can limit the cigars production, but still keep it in as many stores as possible.
There you go.
The 85th is going to be ran very similarly to that.
Okay. Well, cool.
It'll be available. It'll be everywhere. And I implore all of you to smoke it because, number one, it's a tobacco and a flavor that you're not accustomed to. And at the same time, it's a man's life's work.
Very cool.
The story sells itself.
Well, I'm looking forward to that. This is my first PCA, so like, it's kind of cool that I get to come out for that.
So
that'll be fun.
There.
Yeah.
I'm also like, man, your first PCA is going to be in New Orleans.
Yeah. I'm not the biggest New Orleans fan.
Let me tell you what. As someone who loves lots of things about New Orleans,
yeah,
it's got its limitations.
Yeah.
The food is the best in the fucking world.
I am excited about that. There's a couple of places real close to my hotel that I've been looking at. I think there's like Emerald's like real close to my hotel too, but there's a few others that I've been looking at. So I'm looking for, and the bread down there, I'm telling you, there's second to none. I can't find that bread. It's just something about that bread down there. I love that bread.
No, I mean, well, that's the thing
Yeah.
about a lot of things. Like, there's certain things that you just can't replicate, and that's one of them. And so the food's phenomenal, but this is your first PCA, but I'll tell you, it's been a long time since we've been in New Orleans, but it ain't gonna be like Vegas.
That's fine. I was just talking with Oliver Nouveau, and we were talking about the shift to New Orleans. And I'll be honest, man, I realized that this year I have gone to Las Vegas either for TPE or personal, just vacation every year since 2017. Once a year, every year since 2017. And I'm kind of over it. I'm kind of tired. Like I'm fine with taking the break. I'm fine with not going. And I'm fine with PCA moving. I'm fine with skipping TPE next year. I mean, I'm fine. I'm fine with taking a break from Las Vegas.
Well, there's a few things to go along with what you just said. We've kind of oversaturated the whole fucking thing. These trade shows got too close together.
Well, that's for damn sure.
Yeah.
And next year, my God, it's what? I think I did like 16 days, maybe something like that apart between the two. Yeah.
Sucks.
And I'm not putting you on the spot and asking what Aladino is going to do, but I talked with a number of companies out there, and there's a number of them that told me flat out, we can't do both. It's not a matter of we don't want to do both. We straight up just can't do both.
My guess, I'm just being logical.
Yeah.
The only companies you're going to see at TP next year are the ones that are directly involved with Cretech.
I would also say, that's a good point. And I would also say the ones that have large staffing, especially West Coast staffing, to where they could, it's no big deal for them to send a couple of their California reps over to man the booth for a few days, that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, to me, it's a little sad. I do like the difference between TPE and PCA.
Yeah.
You are reaching two different clienteles that enjoy your stuff. And so
yeah,
I do think it's important. But at the end of the day, also with TPE, we're probably not the most important thing to them. That industry has gotten so large and so different.
Well, and I don't know if you heard my TPE recap episode.
Yeah.
You did. Well, flat out,
There were some things.
I mean, flat out, the discussion that I think really needs to be had in the cigar industry is bringing a little bit of the entertainment, bringing a little bit of the pomp and circumstance and the glitz and the glamour back to the trade show side. Because I mean, and this is somebody, I haven't been to PCA, so I don't know. I mean, I'm sure it's bigger and more expansive, but holy shit, man! When you compare the red carpet to the blue carpet at TPE, it's like you can tell where the party was, and it wasn't the red carpet.
So a couple of things. PCA is very different than TP. I mean, everybody goes all out for PCA. Huge booths, entertainment, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But it's so different than it used to be. Even going back to, I would say like 2017 was probably the last year that PCA, which I don't even think it was PCA in 2017.
ICPCR.
Yeah, IPC. Yeah. That was the last year where it still had the same old school feel that it used to, like opulence over the top. You would hire, sexy girls to be at the booth everywhere. I don't think I've seen that since 2017. And before then it was way over the top compared to that.
Yeah.
But that said, it's a very different vibe, and it is like cigars centered, completely cigars. The booths are way bigger, and it's a cool experience. We'll see what New Orleans is all about, because the hardest part about New Orleans is going to be keeping everybody together.
Yeah,
because I know the big thing, PCA in Vegas is always, we get together at the same bar at the end of the night, everybody's smoking, drinking.
Which was one of the problems I had with TPE this year. So the host hotel was the link. Dude, at no point the entire time when I was there did I see anybody from the cigar industry in any of the, because there's all these different little bars. when it was at the Sahara, there was the Circle Bar. Everybody was at the Circle Bar. Nobody went anywhere but the Circle Bar. Link, I didn't know where anybody was at. And come to find out, people are staying at other hotels and this and that, whatever. And it's like, it wasn't centrally located.
Yeah, and I'm afraid PCA this year is going to be like that.
Well, hell, I looked at the host hotel this year with PCA thinking, oh, I'd want to stay there because then I'd be near the bars that everybody's congregating at. Fuck, dude. I mean, it was $300 a night, and that was with the PCA discount. Whereas the place I'm staying is, I think maybe Google Maps says it's a 5-minute walk to the convention center, and I'm paying $880 for my entire trip, you know? So, and it's not a shithole. I mean, it's just not the host hotel.
Yeah, it's going to be disjointed. It's going to be interesting how people navigate this. And then, you've got
and there are smoking limitations in New Orleans.
Yes.
I mean,
big.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I'm even wondering, like, can I sit by the pool at my hotel or on the patio, like outside, and have a cigar?
Along with that, you've got French Quarter Fest going on at the same time.
Yeah. So no, this which is how I think they got the convention center that weekend. Plain and simple. Nobody else wanted it, and it was a matter of like, yeah, we need to fill the space, so yeah, we'll go ahead and let you smoke in the convention center. No big deal,
Not wrong.
Yeah.
We've got some interesting new people running for board positions on PCA.
Okay.
Typically, my biggest beef, I don't even know if we want to get into this, but I'll give you.
That's up to you. I don't know.
A lot of times we get the same people that are TAA.
Okay.
Is up on the board at PCA.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think that's healthy. They have their TAA has its own thing.
Yeah.
So wouldn't it be better if we had another fresh group that does PCA?
That's a valid concern.
And there's some big players that aren't in TAA that are running for board positions on PCA. And I hope they get them, because I think it needs to be two totally different things. And I know they are, but if it's the same people running both, I just don't like that feel.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. This market is ripe for change, and I'm here for it.
Okay.
I don't know how far we maybe.
It's up to you. I mean, I'll go as far as you want to go, but it's 100% up to you. You're the one with the giant Aladino sign right behind your head. So, yeah, say, we'll leave it.
I care about this industry so much, man.
Yeah.
It's given me so many things in my life. And now I'm at an age where I'm like, it's now my turn to like start to do what I can to make it better or push it forward. And there's so many things that I would like to see done.
Well,
and I know PCA does a lot of good for our industry. I just wish it was more transparent so we all knew. I think if you're more transparent, you'll get more people to actually give money. You'll get more people to sign up.
Yeah.
To attend. Without transparency, it's like, and that goes to the feeling of this entire country. We feel like nothing's been transparent. Now with Doge, we're finding out that like, oh, we have been fucked around like we thought we were. And like, I think this sentiment amongst just Americans in general is just let us know. Like, we'll support you if we know.
Yeah.
And I think PCA needs to do a better job of that. And I think if they do, and they bring in some new ideas, this whole thing could go to another level. I mean, I can talk shit on import numbers and what I think is bullshit or not. But even if you look at like bullshit import numbers that might or might have not have been fudged or altered, imports are still way up than they were like 7 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah.
This industry is growing. So why do we need to bullshit its actual growth? We don't.
Yeah. Yeah.
This industry is growing. Let's be real about it. Let's get behind it, and let's all just grow together. Rising tide raises all ships. Like, come on, let's do this. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
That's probably about all I should say right now.
All right. All right. Well, then you know what?
Before I let Mr. Tatiscan talk too much,
There you go. Well, then let's do this then. It's time for the Villiger Cigars Entertainment Report, brought to you by Villiger Cigars, one of the leading cigar and cigarello manufacturers in the world, founded in 1888 and still family-owned and operated. Head over to VilligerCigars.com and check the store locator to find a shop near you that carries them. We guarantee that Villiger Cigars will be a wonderful addition to your humidor and cigar rotation. So, okay. So, what you been watching there?
Well, I haven't had time to watch shit.
I'm sure you haven't, but I figured maybe in the last, I don't know, however long it's been since you've been on the show, that maybe you've watched something.
So 2 things. I'll give you
Okay. Okay. That's better than nothing.
I still have 2 episodes to finish, so nobody ruin it for me. But Landman is fucking awesome.
That's on my watch list. I haven't started that yet.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Billy Bob is number 1. Billy Bob Thornton. Nobody else could pull this character off.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 1. Number 2, I'm also learning how fucking old I am.
Oh God.
Because Allie Larder is like the old mom.
Oh yeah. I remember Allie Larder.
And I'm like, that's the whipped cream bikini girl.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And so part of me is like,
I remember when that movie came out, I was working at the movie theater. I was in high school working at the movie theater when Varsity Blues came out. And we knew about when in the movie that was, so that when we started the movie, all the ushers would run to the door and we'd all have to like just peek in right at the time when that and the other movie that was out when I worked at the movie theater that we did that shit with was Wild Things.
Oh yeah.
And you can take a guess what scenes we were running to the door for there. So yeah.
That Nev Campbell?
Yeah, Nev Campbell and Denise Richards.
Oh my God, yes.
Or was it Denise Richards or Richardson? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Denise Richards.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Yep.
She's got an OnlyFans. Denise Richards. Oh, I just blew Trey Mac's mind. He's taking a note.
Here in Florida, it's pretty hard to access any of that shit. So
yeah, I was wondering how that was affecting you. The whole like got to put in your ID thing. Yeah,
I ain't doing that shit, bro.
Well, I knew you weren't, but I didn't know how that affected
There's
you.
ways around it.
Yeah, VPNs and things of that nature.
Yeah, but even without a VPN, there's ways around it. But you still you have to get real creative with searches.
Put in Ken's credit card and ID number. Yeah, there you go. It's like, Ken, I need to borrow your driver's license for a moment.
Password is Pontoon 87.
Pontoon King 87. Anyway, so okay. So yeah, so you're feeling old because Allie Larder is the mom in this.
Yep, and she's married to Billy Bob, which is really hard for me to.
Yeah, that doesn't feel right.
No, it doesn't. But
no.
It's but that said, phenomenal show.
Okay.
Highly implore you to watch Landman. Worth it, hands down.
Okay.
So that's 1, and then number 2, I got stuck on it. Took me 23 hours to get home. So I was like, well, we're gonna be watching enough shit. I can probably watch a series of something new.
Yeah.
So I picked one that I've been told I would like. It's called Chimp Crazy.
Oh shit, I know that. That's by me, dude.
It's Missouri.
That's like an hour or less from my house.
Oh my God.
No, seriously. So like there's a certain cigar shop that I'm not going to name because the owner is a douchebag, but you know exactly who I'm talking about when I tell you the crazy douchebag in South Missouri there or St. Louis.
I might know.
You know exactly who I'm talking about. And so if you go 35 minutes south of his shop, you're right there. in Festus. Yep. You're right there in Chimp Crazy Land.
That's the hub of Chimp Crazy.
Dude, there's all kinds of shit. That's getting into Jefferson County. And let me tell you, Jefferson County, there's no laws in Jefferson County. So, oh yeah. No.
You want a chimp, you want a gabuchin, you can get them both.
Dude, there's a guy with tigers down there.
Oh yeah.
Like right now. I mean, like there's all kinds of shit down in Jefferson County.
Weird stat. Did you know there are more tigers in captivity than there are in the wild?
I did know that. It's fucked up.
Thank you, Texas and Missouri.
Did you see that bitch Carol Baskin sold her shit for like $19 million? She got like I just saw this the other day. I'm pretty sure I'm getting it's like $19.5 million.
So you're telling me she's a multimillionaire and Joe Exotic is in prison?
Desperately trying to appeal to get out. But yeah.
Bunch of bullshit.
I know. I'm gonna look this up.
And just because life is really fucking weird. So you and I are good friends.
Yeah.
You live in Crazy, and the Tiger King went to school with my mom.
Yeah.
So
that's fucked up.
The Midwest is an interesting place to be.
It really is. I mean,
I don't watch Chimp Crazy. Definitely watch it. It's very real. It's not a created bullshit. It's actually probably more real than Tiger King.
I mean, it's messed up, man. You know,
I think old Joe Exotic liked to put on a show, whereas
the lady in Missouri, she just loved the chimps.
She just loves chimps.
Yeah.
A little too much.
So yeah, she sold her tiger sanctuary in Tampa for $19.5 million.
Fucking big.
And that is from the Commercial Real Estate Direct. So
I'd have to go check it out. It's not too far from me.
No, it's not. I didn't realize it was as close as otherwise I'd have checked it out when I was down in Tampa those couple of times. So
funny how we're oddly connected to both of these things.
I know, right? I mean, what can you say? It's that middle of the country thing. There's some everybody dismisses it flyover country, but man, there's some weird shit in flyover country.
If you want to do some shit, that's the best place to do it.
Everybody flies over it.
Who's paying attention?
But yeah, no, dude. I was watching that documentary, and I'm seeing freaking TV news reports from my local St. Louis affiliate. You know, I'm seeing news reporters that I've met at events. Like we're covering the same fucking event. And it's like, oh, there's Andy Banker, there's Chris Renier, Fox. I mean, it's like I'm fucking seeing these guys, and I'm like, holy shit! Like that's my local St. Louis news in this documentary on HBO Max about this woman that's like 45 minutes away from me. I mean, shit, man. I'm trying to think. So here,
weird feeling, isn't it? It's a weird feeling.
It's a very weird feeling when like your local area becomes the entertainment. 48 minutes. I'm a 48-mile drive from from here to Festus. Yep. Basically, you just go over to St. Louis, get on 55, and head south.
And if you all haven't watched Chimp Crazy, or if you don't know what we're talking about, you're also all connected to this. Because I don't know if you've noticed, there used to be a lot of movies with chimps in the movies. Buddy was a famous one. There's plenty of others.
Is that the one that the guy who played Nightcrawler in the second X-Men movie? I can't remember. Alan.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that the one he was referring to throughout that documentary? Yeah.
I'm pretty sure,
yeah. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, these are famous chimps.
And every Hallmark card that you've seen with chimps on it,
is probably one of those chimps. Yep.
And if you trace it back, all those chimps basically came from one of two women. It's also weird. I don't know if you noticed this, but in Chimp Crazy, it's all women that fall in love with chimps.
Yeah, they have okay, so my theory on that these are women that either don't or can't have children, and so they totally adopt these chimps as their kids. But also they are controlling individuals that don't want the child to grow up. That a child will grow up, become its own person, move out into the world and do its own thing. And so it leaves them behind. Whereas in this case, it's a chimp that they are with for the rest of, until the chimp grows up and becomes crazy and rips your face off, So yeah. But yeah.
No, I mean the main chimp in the story, I'm sure you'll all have known him from several movies.
Mm-hmm.
Tonka the chimp.
Tonka the chimp.
But yeah, it seems to be like, and you see that in the film, it's women that don't have kids, or it's women that lost their husbands.
Yeah.
And they fall in love with chimps, and that fills the void.
Yep. It's crazy, man. It's absolutely nutty.
It's fucking interesting. It's a psychological and sociological study.
Yeah. I mean, and I think it's funny that the documentary guy, had to send in another guy because he was already too well known from Tiger King that the chimp people wouldn't mess with him,
Yep.
So I thought that was kind of funny too, but
they recommend it.
It was an amusing documentary.
Only like 4 hours long.
Yeah, it's like 4 episodes, and each one was an hour. So, but I'll tell you, I sat down and started watching it, and I get done with the first one. It had that same hook like Tiger King. I'm like, I gotta watch more of this. But by the time it's over, I'm like, well, I just blew through that. So now having that somewhat local tie kind of helped, for me. But still, it's compelling. They know how to they know how to hook you into the next episode. They're good at that.
Talk about a monkey masturbating in the first episode, and people want to know more.
I was saying, at least it wasn't killing people. Well, I mean, some of them did kill people.
Well, there were 2 of them.
Yeah, I want to say there were, but they didn't play a drum while doing it.
That's true.
You should see The Monkey, the movie.
The
horror movie.
I've been told by numerous people I would really like that.
Dude,
and I haven't seen a good horror movie in a long time.
It's fucking great. And it's gory as all get out, but it's so darkly funny that you just I found myself laughing at times, and I'm like, I shouldn't be laughing because that person just like died in a very horrific manner. But oh my God, it's great. And the ending of that movie is just balls out crazy. I mean, but it's all about this toy monkey. And when you wind him up, he gets this big ass grin on his face. Like his lips will open. It's like the toy, it's got its mouth like shut. And you twist the key, and the first thing that happens is his mouth just goes, and it's like, what the fuck? And then it like raises an arm, it twirls the drumstick, and then it like starts playing the drum. And when it's over, you're like, is that it? And then somebody dies, and then somebody dies.
I gotta see it.
It's a great movie, dude.
You just made me think of something else.
Yeah.
Again, we're talking about small world, chimp crazy, Tiger King. We're somehow related to this. You brought up monkey, horror movies, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Made me just in the back of my mind, just something from this past farm trip.
Oh boy. Do you have a monkey playing a drum?
And again, I don't even know how this movie came up on the farm, but it came up at the right time with the right person.
Oh boy.
Talked about this film on your show. Remember when I've talked about the movie The Lighthouse?
The Lighthouse.
I like to call it 2 dicks inside of a dick playing with their dick.
Oh God. I no.
I know we've talked about it.
I'm sure we probably have, but okay.
It was on the Villiger episode part.
Okay.
But The Lighthouse, it's a black and white movie that's really a retelling of Prometheus.
Okay.
But it's 2 dicks instead of a dick playing with the dick, is what I call it.
Oh God.
Artistically speaking, it's a phenomenal movie. I love the movie.
Yeah.
It's so different than anything else you'll see out there. Somehow on the farm, I mentioned that movie.
Yeah.
And one of the guys goes, it's really, really weird that you just brought that movie up. I'm like, why? And he goes, the guy that created that movie is one of my regulars at the shop. And I'm like, no. And I'm like, I must meet this man and have a little chitty chat.
Yeah.
So yeah, The Lighthouse. If you're into artistic film, watch The Lighthouse, or as I call it, two dicks inside of a dick playing with their dicks.
Yeah.
Great movie. You watch it, you'll understand why I said what I just said.
Okay.
The Lighthouse, the retelling of Prometheus, and yeah, like I'm gonna have to sit down with the maker of that movie, and maybe we can have him on the show.
There you go. I mean, that'd be cool. We could talk about it. I'll have to watch it before then.
Because if the you need to watch that movie, period. I mean, it's a black and white movie with masturbation and mermaids.
Oh my god!
Do you need anything more?
A monkey.
I don't know if it's a monkey. But if it did, okay. But dude, like, yeah, that's kind of weird how all that just came together.
That is weird. Well,
but Monkey, I gotta watch Monkey. I've had enough people tell me.
Yeah, you do. You got to make it a point.
I haven't seen a good horror movie in a very, very long time. Not since Martyrs. If you haven't,
so she's been on the show, Cherry Chernobyl. She likes horror movies. I'm not a big horror movie person, but we've gone to see a few, and we went and saw Presence.
Yeah,
the Ghost movie. I liked it, but it was not a horror movie. It's a thriller at best.
They're either thrillers or they're gore.
Yeah, this was a thriller at best. And the thing about it is that the part that I liked about it was obvious that it was done from the perspective of the ghost, and it was very obvious they used a flying drone to like do the shots, and everything as it's floating through the house. That was cool.
Pretty cool.
From a technical standpoint, that was cool. Story wise, it was kind of like, okay, whatever. And then what was the other one that we went and saw that wasn't really scary? Shit, I don't remember. Anyway, that's how good it was. I can't even remember the damn movie. But the monkey, look, I don't necessarily want to say. I mean, I would say that the monkey is a horror movie, but at no point was I like freaked out and scared, or like it didn't elicit that. It was intriguing. I was entertained by it. I was amused by it. There was gore. There was plenty of like the way these people died. It's very Final Destination with the way these people die. It's all very bizarre accident took this person out. So it's one of those kind of things. And so you see all these different ways people can die, and it's like, oh shit, but I would still say it's more horror just due to the content, the nature of the story. It's not a thriller in that regard, but it was good. But I wouldn't say that I like left there like, just freaked out for a week. Like Hereditary, that movie haunted me, man. But like this one didn't haunt me. This one, I'm just like, I want to do that again. That was a fun roller coaster.
Hereditary movie. I don't know that I would call it good.
No.
But it'll play.
But it fucked with me.
Yeah.
It fucked with me for a while.
I was going back to some Tarantino interviews and movies recently, and he said something. He's like, Americans used to be the best storytellers. And he's like, we just stopped telling stories.
Oh.
And I'm like, that's actually a good way of putting it. Like, well, like, especially horror movies, we just add the shock value, but there's no unfolding of an actual story.
Yeah. It's, we have this knife wielding person or this whatever. And yeah, exactly. Well, and look, I'm a comic book nerd. that's out there, and I've talked about it on here enough that everybody knows that. I'm fucking tired of all the comic book shit. I mean, it's like, but the problem is,
doesn't that illustrate Tarantino's point?
It does, but
comic book movies are supposed to be stories.
Yeah, but here's the thing. Here's the problem. We have now gotten it to the point where the only way for the theaters to survive is to get those tentpole movies that are going to make umpteen, millions of dollars in order to keep it going. They can't run on things like The Monkey is a blip, and it helps, but it's not like it's not something that's like keeping them in business. Unfortunately, you need like the Disney and the Marvel and the fucking, I mean, there's a reason Fast and Furious is at like 10 or whatever the fuck it is, and you've got Mission Impossible 8 coming out, and I mean, we're rehashing the same shit, but it's because, quite frankly, from the theater to the studio and everything, they're running so big now that unless they pull it back dramatically, which they very well could.
Good.
Unless they pull it back dramatically, they got to make money. I mean, look at Godzilla -1. That movie. Hang on, I'm just gonna Google this for just a moment, because I am curious. I know that it was not nearly what you would think. Godzilla -1 was made for between $10 and $15 million. That's it. Wow. $10 and $15 million, or $10 to $15 million. Whereas when you look at it, I mean, I would have thought that the production value on that was significantly more than that, especially when you look at the special effects with the monster and everything. I mean, this does not look like something that was made for $10 to $15 million. Then you look at something like the new Captain America movie, which, I mean, let's just Google what the budget is for that, and okay. So that's it cost, the new Captain America movie cost north of 180 million before marketing.
Jesus.
And marketing on those Marvel movies, dude, they could sink $100 million into marketing like that. So you could be looking at the expense of that movie being $280 million. So it has to break even at that, but my point is, you look at that, and then you look at Godzilla -1, and you're like, 10 to 15 versus 180 to 280. Yeah. It's like, you could have done that for that, but you wanted to do the green screen and all this shit and everything. Get creative again, I mean,
the storytelling and the cinematography.
Jurassic Park 1 was done with animatronics and various things, some CG, but not a lot. You had practical effects. Yeah, it costs money, but it doesn't cost $180 million.
Now, to bring this full circle,
okay,
took a picture. This is just perfect. Took a screenshot.
Oh boy,
you mentioned Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
So this happened last night. I was on, somehow in my thread, there was this weird mathematical equation that came up and blah, 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 conspiracy bullshit. And I'm the conspiracy guy.
Oh, no, I know.
This one was like, this is so stupid. I had to read the comments, and there was one comment that made me laugh so hard last night. So in this mathematical conspiracy, all of a sudden, one guy, Sherfington, commented, "That's cool, but this doesn't change the fact that Hector is going to be running 3 Honda Civics with spoon engines. On top of that, he just came into Harry's and ordered 3 T66 turbos with NOS and a Motec exhaust." And that is the best comment. Like I was like, oh my God, you just sent me back to 1998, bro.
Right.
This doesn't change the fact that Hector is going to. As soon as you said
Fast and Furious.
Fast and Furious, my mind was like, oh, I just took a screenshot of that shit.
I don't know. It's one of those things with the movies these days. It's like, it could be cool, but we're too busy focused on the big tentpole shit. It's like some of this little stuff needs to be highlighted.
Even like Tarantino, he's huge, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But there were so many people I know that they didn't like his last movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
I didn't care for it.
I'm telling you, go back and watch it. That's a story. Like, it's so good.
Yeah.
It's a story. But the problem is that we've been conditioned that you don't have to tell the story. You don't have to be artistic. We just need flashbangs. And
my thing with it was, and this is all personal. I mean, it is what it is. I didn't go into it expecting revisionist history. I went into it expecting him to tell that story, but with his characters surrounding it and everything. And the fact that he completely went straight into like revenge porn against the Manson family.
That's not what he did. That's the tree talk. When I say tree talk.
Yeah. So what? So what is your perspective on the movie?
When I say tree talk, you're talking about there's a forest and then there's the trees, and we're conditioned to look at trees. What Tarantino did was zoom out and see the forest. The real point of that movie is the same point of what actually happened in real life. It was the ending of the golden age of Hollywood.
Okay.
Told two different ways. Both have the same outcome, but they're told two different ways. But the overall writing story is this is how the golden age of Hollywood ended.
I
love that. It's an artistic turn.
That's one of those things that maybe one day, if we're sitting around together and we can watch that movie and you can explain that perspective to me. Cause I kind of took it more, like I said, just straight up like, oh, what would have happened if, this happened. And then it just got wacky.
There's so many Easter eggs and really important cinematography that's done in that show that you have to watch it again. The same thing, like the first time I watched Interstellar, it was one of my least favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
Hated it so bad.
See, now I liked that one, but okay.
Then I went back and watched it, and then I watched it on mushrooms. Interstellar, I'm not joking. It is in my top 5 all time.
Okay.
First time I watched it, I wouldn't even put it in the top 1,000. Like, I was so fucking pissed watching that movie the first time, and then I had to go back. What am I missing? I missed a lot.
Yeah.
And Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, kind of the same thing, because I watched it in the theaters. I was so pumped to see Tarantino's like last movie.
Yeah.
And in the theaters, it was just so long and drawn out that I got kind of bored. And then I watched it again at home by myself, and I was like, oh.
Okay. All right.
But
is that his last one? I mean, it's the last one he's done, right? But
he always said he was only going to do a set amount of films.
Yeah.
And according to the set amount of films he said he was going to do, that fulfilled the last one.
Oh, I thought he had one more, but okay. Whatever. Okay.
He's a weird dude.
I was going to say, I could see him deciding to come back again and do one more. Never know.
I would love it if he did. I love Tarantino's storytelling. And funny enough, the movie that everybody loves about him more than anything, I think is his worst movie. So
which one's that?
Kill Bill is the worst of all of his work.
I like the first one. I did not care as much for the second half.
Those are his worst movies.
But in all fairness, the first one, I mean, look, man, the parts I like about the first one are pure gratuitous popcorn movie shit, like the fight with the 88, the crazy 88 and everything like that. I mean, like, I get it. I'm going in. I wasn't going in for super intellectual with that one. That one I kind of knew going in. I was like, I'm going in for some crazy shit.
Yeah. I get. Don't get me wrong. I still like the Kill Bill movies. I just think it's his weakest link.
Pulp Fiction, I think, is his best one.
Oh my God, that's another top 5 movie of all 5.
Yeah, I think that's his best one.
Pulp Fiction, but then like, don't discount Reservoir Dogs or Jackie Brown.
No, I know, but I even stacked up with those, I think
And
Pulp
then you
Fiction
get
wins
to
it.
Django and Hateful Eight, and I'm like, that's another level. Like,
Yeah,
because he was really good in both of those movies of giving you the flashbang bullshit that we all want, while telling an intricate story at the same time. Those two in particular combine both worlds in a fantastic way. But then we got to Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He was like, fuck the flashbangs, I'm gonna tell a story.
Yeah.
A lot of people are like, eh.
See, I thought you were going to go with Inglourious Bastards as being the one that everybody likes that wasn't like.
No, that's phenomenal. Well, and
Okay.
do you see the parallels between Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood?
What? Okay.
There's a lot, and
it's been a minute since I've seen both of them.
He does it on purpose,
so.
but the biggest one is that in Inglourious Bastards, it's revisionist history.
It is.
And what happens at the end? There's flames and Hitler is being burned.
Yeah.
That's how that ends. It's like a nice, cool revisionist It's
revisionist,
but
yeah.
Revisionist, it's revisionist revision of history.
Okay.
Same thing in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And how does it end? With a flamethrower.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right.
And both were based upon movie sets.
Okay.
The other Tarantino Easter egg is that in all of his movies, there's a fake cigarette company in all of them.
Oh, that's the app. Is it not the
Red
Apple? Red Apple. Yeah.
Which in Hateful Eight is Rojo Manzana, I believe, or Manzana Rojo, which is Red Apple.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's in all of his movies too. Like, there's the little things like that fucking matter.
There you go.
But yeah, no, the parallels between Inglourious Bastards and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, you wouldn't think are there, but they're totally there.
Interesting. All right, then.
Watch it again, folks.
Well, there we go.
I got nothing else. That segment went a while.
I was going to say, we did that segment well. So, you and I have gone for, we said in the beginning before we start going, what do we want to talk about? Let's keep it tight. And we're now at 2 hours and 36 minutes. So
we're under 3.
We're under 3, but by the time I tack on my bookends, with the few things, I might be getting close to it.
Do your bookends. Let's try to do this the old-fashioned way.
Oh, see, I can't. I don't have my Blackbird segment yet.
We haven't even got to the Blackbird segment.
I don't have it ready. So I can't do that. And as for Pinky's fun fact, I don't have that queued up on here either. So yeah. So anyway, yeah.
But I think I knew the Blackbird segment you're going to do eventually.
Oh, I think the Blackbird segment. You tipped me off to one, and I think that's going to be the one I use for this episode. I'm just going to have to, pull it the way I need to pull it. So I need to take a minute to condense the story down to the bite-sized chunk that I present to the listeners.
Love it.
Because
listeners want that story.
Because there's a lot to that story.
It's great.
There's a lot. Yeah. This is one. When I get to this segment, guys, that's going to be one that you're going to want to take a note, and you're going to want to do the research on him above and beyond what I give you, because I'm going to give you the bite-sized nugget. But let me tell you, just in the little bit of research I've done, there's a lot to this guy. So anyway, well, Trey Mac, thank you so much for taking time out tonight. This has been fun.
No, this is always fun. I know I'm probably a pain in the ass because I'm long-winded and
dude, whatever. This is why when I know when I'm recording with you, I always make sure I block out the evening, and it's like, all right, we're just gonna settle it, buckle up, and go, because Lord knows where this is gonna go.
There was no moon talk.
No, we didn't get weird at all for the most part.
No.
Well,
Although I'll give a little moon talk real quick.
Oh boy, some moon talk.
Because you're going to like this.
Okay.
Got listeners out there, bro.
Yeah.
So we're out there in Honduras, and this happened a couple of trips this time. And we're just sitting there. I don't know these people, never met them, getting to know them for the first time. And especially the first trip, somebody goes, "Oh, Trey Mac, this is a guy that doesn't believe in the fucking moon." And I'm like, where'd you fucking hear that? Oh no, we've heard, we know all about it, blah, 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 blah. So the show is reaching people, and I am now the moon denier.
You're the moon denier. I love it. I love it.
I'm like, listen, dickheads, I'm not saying the moon isn't fucking real. If you listen to the show, I'm telling you, it doesn't make any sense. That's all I'm fucking saying.
You need to get buttons made up, like round ones with the moon on it, and just have it say, "It's not what you think it is." And then when you're at events, you could pass out like your moon buttons,
So,
I'm telling you. Hell, cigar people love stickers. That's what you get stickers made. It's not what you think it is.
I should.
Yeah.
Which is leading me to,
Oh boy.
okay, I'll give a little, we'll end the show with this bullshit.
Oh boy.
So there's this attack on Trey Mac one night that I didn't know was coming. And it's like, oh, this guy's the moon denier. And of course, people had never seen the show. Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
He doesn't believe in the moon. And I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, people, I just wanted to get through a fucking fun night. And one of the guys there was like a paleontologist, which number one, I don't know what the fuck that has to do with the moon.
Why is a paleontologist on the Aladino trip?
Well, he owns a store.
Why is a paleontologist on? I mean, okay. I mean, good for him.
He's a cool dude.
Is this like his retirement gig?
I mean,
or is he like an active?
His family's got money. He's got bars, and he's got cigar lounges, and he also digs up dinosaur bones.
What the fuck? I want to dig up dinosaur bones. That sounds cool.
But of course, when this comes up, when I'm at my vulnerable spot,
yeah.
Well, Trey Mac, guess what? We got a fucking scientist here. I'm like, oh, God damn.
You're like, here we go.
And so I'm like, okay, hold on. I guarantee if you go into paleontology and all that, do you know a lot of science? Yeah, 100%. Do you know dick about the universe? Probably as much as I fucking do. Okay. Like, they're different science.
Yeah.
So then everybody's like, well, what does the scientist have to say about this? And of course, like, he's contradicting a lot of the things I have to say. I look like a piece of shit because I kept telling everybody's like, tell us about these anomalies. You say there's so many of these anomalies. And I'm like, you can listen to the podcast.
Yeah, you name off everything.
Everybody to the podcast. I'm like, it's all covered in a 3-hour podcast. I'll give you the link. No, we're here right now. We want it. And I'm like, nope.
But you had all your time to prep for the podcast, everything. You didn't have time to prep for this.
Well, plus, I would rather people watch your show.
Well, yeah, exactly. So what you're saying is I should expect a little bit of a bump on that episode.
Maybe.
Okay.
So I just tell the people like 3 anomalies.
Okay.
Out of the like 20.
Yeah.
And I'm like, here's 3. And of course, the scientist wants to debunk all 3 of them. And I go, that's fine. That's what I would expect a man of science to do. My issue, like I say in the show, if you go watch it, not that there's 1 anomaly that you can debunk or 2. The weird part is how many anomalies there are. That many anomalies, I start to get super skeptical. That's all. And everybody just trashed me the whole night. And one of the people there are people that are doing a project with us.
Okay.
And they were pretty quiet. They didn't back me up at all, though. No, nobody.
Of course not.
I got to hang myself on my own tree. And then the next morning, we're at breakfast. These 2 guys come and sit with me at breakfast. And they're like, hey, so you said some crazy shit last night. And I'm like, yeah. Check this out. We asked ChatGPT about some of your shit. And it brought up all of the moon anomalies. And they're like, this is crazy. And I'm like, would have been fucking great if you'd have done that last night.
Right?
I was fucking like hanging from a tree by myself. So converted a couple of souls that were like, this is insane. We thought what you're saying was crazy too. And then we GPT'd it, and they're like, holy shit.
Right?
Then I talked about elk bone flute theory, which is a whole nother thing that I don't think we've ever touched on this show.
No.
And
That
that
feels
one
like
too, it sounds crazy. They chat GPT'd that, and they're like, holy fuck, that one's spot on too. Like elk bone flute, fucking real thing. So I got two people that now are listening to me, and I guarantee you there's others.
Okay.
But then those people start working on a project with us later on in the week that I told you is going to be totally badass.
Yeah.
And all I will tell you about the whole thing, Aladino is going to the fucking moon.
Oh, shit. Okay. Well,
All comes together.
then you can report from the moon and let us know what you think of it. All right. Well, Trey Mac, thank you so much for taking time out. I appreciate it as always, man.
My favorite show, my favorite people. I love you parishioners, you sick fucks. Every single one of you. Trash me in the comments. I'm here for it. And Nick, you're a good buddy. I appreciate you like putting up with me and having me come on.
It's always a pleasure. And I really want to thank Trey Mac for taking so much time out of his night to discuss everything with us. It's always fun catching up with Trey Mac. He's a good dude. He's got a lot going on. He's busy as hell, but I always enjoy our chats. So, and guys, seriously, if you think that was a fun 3 hours, you should have then been on the line for the remaining 2 hours that took place after that. None of that is fit for broadcast, though. So, anyway, we'll move on from there. So, why don't we go ahead now and do this? It's time to fly high with Blackbird Cigars. Blackbird Cigars offers you remarkable quality using the most delicate and finest tobacco to always ensure that you're receiving unsurpassed cigars. Blackbird Cigars strives to give you undoubted repeating flavor for every cigar you smoke and impressive quality so that you can always expect greatness. Check out their website for a full list of stores carrying Blackbird Cigars and give them a test flight. Blackbird Cigars can't clip our wings. So, guys, as promised, I have the story of Peter. I may butcher this last name, but I'm going to spell it so that you can Google it, because trust me, you need to Google this guy and you need to do research into him. Peter Freuchen, Freuchen. All right. He's a Danish explorer, and he is renowned for his adventures in the Arctic, most famous for his harrowing experiences in Greenland, where he lived among the Inuit people, enduring extreme conditions including near starvation, frostbite, and even amputating his own toes after getting trapped under an avalanche, which he claimed to have freed himself from using a makeshift dagger fashioned from his own frozen feces. Yes, he made a poop knife, and he carved himself out of the avalanche with a poop knife. His resilience and survival stories, often detailed in his writings, showcase his remarkable ability to overcome perilous situations in the Arctic. However, that is not where his story ends. That's where his story is going to end here in the Blackbird segment. But this is why I encourage you to Google this guy, because, I mean, we could be doing the adventures of Peter Freuchen for months to come. This guy not only had all that happen, he got married and his wife passed away. He had to bury his own wife. He then went on and became an actor. He was Jewish and had major issues with Adolf Hitler and the Third Reich, and ended up becoming well known as a Viking fighter, warrior, taking on the Nazis, to where even Adolf Hitler had a bounty, a warrant out for him. So, like, He fought the shit out of the Nazis and, in fact, was captured and escaped a POW camp. Oh, yeah, and by the way, he had a peg leg. So, you know, there's more, because the whole toe thing eventually became even more. So, you guys, you be like Peter Frauchen and Blackbird Cigars, and don't let anybody clip your wings. That's Peter, Freuchen. Trust me, it's a deep dive you're going to want to go down. This guy is the epitome of utter badass. So look him up, and trust me, the poop knife is probably the most simple thing he did. So anyway, I'm available on Instagram at The Cigar Pulpit. I am on Facebook, where we have the Pulpit Parishioners group. I'm on Twitter /X. If you want to watch the show, I'm on Rumble, which is a video platform. You can go over there, sign up, get an account, follow and subscribe, and then you won't miss an episode. I'm also available on YouTube, and if you use Spotify to listen to the podcast, you can watch us on there, because I do have Spotify video as well. Anyway, so yeah, that's the show. It's another long show, but you know, they're always fun with Trey Mac. So anyway, guys, take it easy. Thank you so much for listening. And remember, this is another sermon from the Cigar Pulpit. I'm Nick. Stay safe. Stay smoky. Take it easy, everyone.